All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. The checkpoint. We are live, and I am joined with Mr. Snappy and Mr. Cryptosi. How goes it, fellas?
Goes well. Thanks
Excellent.
for having us on, man.
Hey, man, no worries. It's always good to have y'all back on the checkpoint. You guys were the first checkpoint way back in the day.
Woo woo.
Yep. It's good to see everybody. All right, let me get this. Let's see if I can get this to pop up.
Inadvertent trendsetters.
No,
Yeah. Even
it was
even
all
a-
deliberate.
Yeah.
It was
yeah,
all deliberate. It was,
So how goes it, everybody? We do have PIVX on today. We are going to be talking about PIVX a little bit if you guys aren't aware about it. They were the first checkpoint to come out. We're going to have a few marbles races later on to give away some PIVX, so stick around. It's going to be a good one. So how goes it, fellas? Yeah, that's right. Make it rain. Make it rain. So let's go through PIVX. I'm loving the new website. I remember when I first seen it about a year ago. It's come a long way.
It has,
It
to say
has.
the least. Yeah. And for those who haven't perused the website, go check it out. You'll see some familiar faces from the Zenzo community actually that helped contribute to the website. So incredible communities and what happens, and actually people come together around projects. So
Hmm. And see, that may not be a wide known fact that PIVX is actually allies with Zenzo. We actually forked from the PIVX code originally, and we reworked it a lot to kind of meet our needs, but that was the stepping stone that we needed. And the community and, PIVX has been great, definitely reaching in and giving us help where we need it. And if, we have any kind of ideas that will help you guys out, it's just good to collaborate. So I'm going to dive through the website a little bit. So you guys have been around in PIVX for quite a while. So how long you guys been in it?
okay, I'll take this one.
Nice.
I guess I joined. I think I was a little bit after Snappy, but it was late 2016. I got into PIVX via Dash. So it was in Dash, and then they had some kind of mad falling out where the guy who owned the Dash Discord decided he didn't want to do Dash anymore. So he changed it to his own Discord, and I was in that Discord, and I didn't bother to leave. And then a few guys were talking, and they were like, oh yeah, we're going to do a new project just like Dash, but we're not going to give up on privacy because, I don't know, we want to be stubborn. And I was like, okay. Stubborn sounds like my cup of tea, so off I went, and that's when I originally met Snappy. That was end of 2016. But I don't know when Snappy joined.
yeah, my provenance with PIVX actually predates it being started. So I was actually part of a community crypto that's actually still around called Netcoin. But one of the good old Cryptsy, BTCE type of altcoins from back in the day. But actually, it's interesting. So this will probably tie in threads throughout the conversation.
Mhm.
What drew me actually into that project at the time was its community. So back in the day, if you had gone on to BTC Talk and looked through all of the posts and threads, there's very few projects, one that had a website. I know, shocker.
Yeah.
Two, that actually had any type of, what I'll say, place for non-coders and developers to hang out, right? I know it seems like a shocker, but this is 2012 era, in that range. And Netcoin, 2013, etc., 2014, right? They had forums. Right, so they had their own hosted forums. They had little games you could play to earn Netcoin back in and they were trying to foster a community, right? And again, whatever the reasons, many of them you could go back through. Just the project, had a little bit of a heyday and then just never caught its wheels again. Developers left, etc. Yeah. And two members actually of Netcoin who had come in later, who were trying to help out with the project, decided, you know what, we see what's possible. We really need to go after something that's focused on maintaining, I'll say privacy. And so they actually were the progenitors of what is now known as PIVX. So I actually knew the two individuals, stayed in touch really well with one of them, and never really got involved again because it was really tech heavy for a long time. They actually helped build the first website for what became later known as PIVX. Like it started out as Darknet.
Yeah.
And then when I was getting feedback, hey, we really need to ramp up sort of an outward face and a community and et cetera, I said, okay, now there's something I can kind of sink my teeth into and get involved. So I don't know when the timing was, but it was in that 2016 era when I started getting more involved, and things in Slack started just going through the roof. So
that's how you know you're an OG. If you guys don't know what Slack is, this is the group chat that we used to use prior to Discord and Telegram.
Yep.
I mean, that's
until we broke Slack. So it's for those who know or don't remember. So one of the things with Slack was, and again, it's sort of like a Discord-esque medium for conversations, nested conversations, different rooms, like the compartmentalized conversations, etc. Emojis, you name it, and integrations. So they're free, they're freeware for anybody. It was great, except the issue is this: once you hit 10,000 messages, it would start deleting the old ones, right? So once you got to 10,001, it would delete, your first message. Well, we had so many, and I don't think many crypto projects pushed it to where we had so many people actively engaged in our community. It had turned into a Snapchat where literally you would post a message and you come back 5 minutes later and it was gone because there were so many messages happening. It was it was chaos. It was a nightmare for trying to do any sense of work because you leave a note for yourself and you're like, oh, blimey, where'd it go? Right? It's gone. So that's when, combined with the security features on Slack were abysmal for scam. I mean, Discord's a step above. So then it was we've got to move. And then, everybody in crypto we all pivoted into Discord. And we'll probably pivot again away from Discord because there'll be some sort of, centralized point of failure or whatever, and we'll all start self-hosting our servers and you name it, but that's down the road. So
yeah, and I mean, we ran into it too. It's one of those things that Discord is such a great tool because you get to separate your rooms, you get to help point your community in the right direction, and it gives you that ability where you have kind of like Telegram and things like that, to where it's just like you said, it's kind of a chaos situation, and it definitely, I've used Telegram and Discord and Slack, and Discord kind of, it feels the best out of the three, but like you said, who's to know what's going to happen with that? Yeah. But let's see here. So guys, we are going to be doing some races for PIVX, so be sure to have a PIVX address ready. You can actually download the current wallet off the website currently if you go over to pivx.org. So we're going to just dig through the website a little bit. So the private transactions, this is something that's kind of been a stopping point for PIVX for a little bit, because then they had ZPIV and everything else, and then recently you actually had to transfer or convert all your ZPIV or you were going to lose it, correct?
Yep. Yeah. So back over a year ago now, there was an exploit vulnerability that was uncovered in the lib0 library. So the ZeroCoin GitHub, that whole library had been developed and then sort of left, and there's a lot of crypto projects, PIVX included, that were using some of those libraries for its base privacy protocols. And there was a vulnerability discovered in that, and so any project that had been using that was affected, right? And so the PIVX developers had to basically stop and cease all development around that privacy protocol, and then ensure that, one, there wasn't any vulnerabilities or exploits, which there weren't at that time, and then figure out a way to back convert, right? So in that privacy layer, you had to take your PIV and do what was called minting into a privacy, basically sort of like a house token, you could call it that way, but it was yours. And so they had to figure out a way to safely back convert, I think it was 2 different forms of ZPIV back to PIV. So that's been over a year where that's been an option for people to do that. And so, yeah, literally, what are we looking at? 2 days left for people to really, if they haven't converted back from ZPIV to PIV, come into our Discord, ask questions. We can help you out.
There you go.
It's not difficult, but otherwise they'll be lost. So those, whatever ZPIV hasn't been converted back, will be in essence lost. So there will be no way to convert them back.
If people have been active in this project at all and have not been under a rock for a year, they kind of know what's going on. And the fact that y'all did come with a solid solution, that's a testament to the PIVX developers. Because this is a lot of things, is we've got a lot of newcomers coming into crypto as of late, and they think that this is this technology that solve all. It's still very new. And with that new kind of ecosystem and forefronts, you can run into a lot of holes. And what something may look perfect in code may not look so perfect down the road, but it's how it's met and how it's dealt with. And I think you guys have been pretty good with that.
I'd say so. I'm biased, but I think the developers have done a yeoman's job of assisting the community on that in that regard, as well as developing and delivering a new protocol for individuals. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's not the easiest thing to do in the world to run a solid crypto project. So with that being said, what's in PIVX for the future of privacy? So what do we got to look forward to in a change? Is it going to just go to a non-privacy, or is it going to change to something new?
Do you want me to keep rapping away, Cryptosi? You want to jump in? Okay. I'm not short of words. So yeah. So I believe it was about 8 months ago, the core developers announced that PIVX would be integrating ZK Snark sapling. Mm-hmm. So this is the protocol that was developed by Electric Coin Company, most famously probably known in Zcash. The unique differences being, number one, that we're a proof of stake, right? Algorithm. So they basically were undertaking a full customization implementation of that into the PIVX ecosystem and core blockchain, which is proof of stake. So huge effort there. I'm personally glad that they elected to look at a highly vetted, highly trusted, reputable privacy protocol to implement that, versus saying, hey, we could go out and build our own, right? Sort of to say, look, this is already sort of becoming an industry standard. There's a lot of elements in this that we like that are very useful. So we'll integrate this and figure out how to integrate this into a proof of stake algorithm. So here we are 8 months later. We're about to push it to testnet, which is going to be incredible for people to now actually play around with it. And so it is and we're sort of using this moniker. It's a user data protection layer, right? So in PIVX, we're really about affording protection for all the users of PIVX, right? And so how that's delivered is through different privacy algorithms, and ours happens to allow you to shield or not shield your transactions, right? So that's actually the name of the protocol is Shield. So you as an individual will be able to send, I could send Cryptosi a completely shielded transaction. He's not going to be able to see, any of my balances. You're not going to be able to see that out on, a public explorer. But there will be confirmation that has been sent back and forth between us, obviously. But I could also send it completely de-shielded, which would be a transparent transaction, just like, when you send Bitcoin back and forth, or, Litecoin back and forth, for that matter. So it's really about maintaining that user data protection, right? And allowing the user the choice and affording them their rights to be able to select when and how they send information over the internet. And this is really, really key. So the really other cool element as well that's being baked in is sort of being able to send encrypted memos along with the transaction, which is fascinating because that actually will allow a user to send personal identifiable information along with that transaction to a receiver. So if we start thinking about legacy banking systems and structures, some of that actually has to be, and it's mandated when you're doing any type of compliance checks, that there's an identifier with that transaction. And so this actually can allow PIVX to sit in this brilliant spot of being this user data protection layer to send information where it's needed, but also maintain the right to keep information private from the rest of the public. So I'm excited personally. I guess the hardcore privacy folks would label us as a less than, because we are not privacy on 100% of the time, right? We're more of a privacy or as an option, but I like to phrase it as we're a user data protection project that affords privacy when it's needed.
That having options, that's the main thing. You shouldn't have to be forced into one way or another. You should have that option. And if you want to be able to send to somebody just completely open, that's perfectly fine. But one of the things that I hear from new people is like, well, anybody can check my balance. Well, there's options for that. Now, PIVX is actually giving options for that. So there is something out there. And then some people get into it, well, it's like, I'm going to need stuff for taxes because, there's people that actually do pay taxes on crypto. And it's one of those things to where it's nice for people to be able to have that option instead of just being like, and I think it was Monero is like 100%. Yeah. So like something like that where it's like, oh, well, I traded Monero and I didn't know, but now I don't have any way to copy this data over, and that's some things that I think a lot of people may get the misconception of. It's like, I got that privacy, but what happens when you need to turn it off? Sure. And it's cool that y'all came up with that.
I think also another thing with privacy on or off is that sometimes with some protocols you have an issue whereby the more people are dealing with the private transactions, the better, the stronger the privacy becomes. So that's often where the argument comes from, we should be private all the time, therefore the privacy is better. The thing about that for me is that we're talking about some very fine margins. So you're not going to get much more privacy by having privacy on all the time. It's not going to make much difference to anybody, really. Right. So for me, I've always felt like having the option is better. But effectively, everyone's always got the option because you don't have to use PIVX. You don't have to use Monero. You don't have to use Bitcoin. And that's the good thing about crypto. You can jump in and jump out anytime you want. It's not like pounds or dollars where you can't go to the shop and decide, you know what, today I feel like spending euros in England. It just doesn't work that way. So for me, I think that it's always better to have the option. But overall, you've got the option anyway because you don't have to come. No one's really putting guns in and saying, look, you have to use PIVX. Use it when you want to use it. If you don't, maybe not.
Yeah. The other component too that's interesting, because we are a proof of stake project, is the incentivization, right? So in a proof of stake ecosystem, you as a node runner or as a staker, really, you don't even have to run a node anymore, especially with cold staking.
Yes.
You can earn, on by having PIT, right? And either cold staking it or running a hot wallet and staking it yourself. Is the structure of what rewards will look like for basically using or staking in a shielded manner. So there may actually be a more incentivized structure to actually use and or stake using your shielded addresses, which then just adds to, as Cryptosi was saying, adds to the pool, as it were, or the tighter privacy, I guess you could say. So it'll be interesting to see that pan out. I know when we had ZPIV, our anonymity set of tokens was 10%. I think it was 16% at one point, which was massive, right? Like in terms of utilization of a privacy protocol and transactions was very large compared to other privacy as an option projects. And I think that's largely due to the fact that it is a proof of stake algorithm, and it has that baked in incentivization structure. So.
Well, we did actually. What we done in the end was we changed it, didn't we? Because we had Seven Hacks, a guy called Seven Hacks, who was like more or less in charge at the time, the lead of the development team. well, we can always change the development team, but let's talk about that in a second because that's another key differentiation between us and projects like Zcash. But Seven Hacks had come up with the idea of making your staked. You could not cold stake. You could privately stake your PIV.
Yep.
And what we had decided to do was if you privately stake it, you get a slightly higher return than if you openly staked it. And
Yes.
that's what I think really changed the game. I think that was quite a clever move. I'll credit Seven Acts with it. But moving on, another thing for me, because I'm really into governance. So for me, one of the things that really differentiates us from the other projects is that we can pick. Well, we can't. I should say pick and choose. That sounds a bit throwaway, but we can pick and choose our development team, and often we do. Like, I'm quite good at it. I like to call out the developers and say, okay, guys, why are we doing X or Y or Z? And rightfully, they hate me for it, but it's all fun and games, and that's what open source is all about, right? But with a project like Zcash, not to bash them, but they just have someone who is incumbent. They have the team, and the team remains the team. That team will never change, regardless of what those people within that team do. They're always going to get their 10%. For me, that's no good, because people have to be held accountable. If they're not up to scratch in years to come, 5 years, 10 years, we should be able to say, okay, we're not going to vote for them in the DAO. They're not going to be funded anymore. We're going to vote for someone else, and those people will be funded. I think that's an important difference to make, especially when it comes to the direction of the project. And that's, for me, as well as obviously being proof of stake, which is a massive deal economically. I think governance wise, having that DAO there, I think that's what for me makes the difference between us and a lot of the other privacy projects. Because as far as I know, none of them have that. They're all pretty much the team is the team.
Interesting. Well, see, I've my introduction to DAOs and the masternode voting system and how y'all did that. My introduction to that was PIVX. And how I saw it done and how it correlated. And, we jumped in there. We set up a Zenzo one and got the vote. And it was really interesting to see how that all played out, because the community basically is dictating what's happening with the project. And and it has to be a majority. It's not just one of those things where one or two people can go, well, I want it to be this way, and that's the way it's going to go. If there's enough people on that vote, it can swing it very quick, and it's pretty neat.
This is the thing, Tendo. We're all still watching it play out. So a lot of people like DAOs will get a lot of stick at the moment. Oh, this DAO doesn't work because there's only 5 or 6 guys. There's 2 or 3 guys. There's one guy. He's got too much power. But the DAOs that we're watching, Dash, PIVX, Zenzo, all of these DAOs, even DAOs like Decred, they're all very, very young. They're still like children. I like to think of a DAO as like the equivalent of a human being, and these DAOs are like 5 or 6 years old. Now you can't expect these 5 or 6 year old DAOs to be making adult decisions. You can't expect them to make, I guess, premium decisions like at the peak of their effectiveness, because they're still too young. There's not enough distribution. There's not enough. They're just not effective enough. They're not efficient enough. We're not using the technology well enough. We still don't have ways to effectively educate the community on every single proposal every month. So DAOs are still young, they're still infantile, and watching them play out is, for me, super interesting, because they are getting older. Bit by bit, they're getting older. So we've got alliances. So now suddenly you've got DAOs that can decide to partner with other DAOs. Now that was something that DAOs just couldn't do 2 years ago.
Right.
And bit by bit, the DAOs are becoming more stronger and a bit more intricate and basically better. So I would say give it another 5 or 10 years, and I think DAOs might actually be fulfilling their potential. Honestly, now I still don't think they fulfill their potential, but I think give it another 5 or 10 years, and I think we'll be there.
Very cool. Well, because you're right, it has to mature. It has to be one of those things that takes time, because if not, you don't get the data you need. You're not going to see proper decision making or something else like that, because just like you said, one person in a whale can have a sway on something or anything else like that. But as this matures and we see the problems arise, we answer them, and we introduce more tech to be able to solve that and distribute things in a manner that can be fair. And just like you said, you don't want to put like a big consensus breaking decision on top of something like that, because you may end up with something that you just might regret, and it can affect everybody. So that's kind of an interesting way of looking at it, as looking at it as like a child, because you're right, a 6-year-old child barely knows how to get up and get dressed, much less go out and participate in a full-time job. So that's a really good analogy. I like that. So with the whole proof of stake model, that is something that we adopted over at Zenzo. I like it personally because it doesn't really leave as big as a carbon footprint. It lets the average person who doesn't really have the money to be able to afford a $5,000 ASIC miner to actually get into something to where they can earn a little bit of dividends without having to spend all that money. So as that's played out over the years, I know, PIVX difficulty has gotten pretty hard. So when that kind of all started playing out, how did y'all see that kind of coming to fruition? Did you see as many people staking as much as they are now, or was it going to be less, or how did you see that play out?
Well, it's hard. The other thing too is it's hard to know at any point in time how many people are staking. That's part of I'll say that's one of the beautiful elements, is there's no real way to determine how much is being staked at any specific time. You can kind of do some back calculations, right? You can look at our master node, so the tier 2 layer, the master nodes. You can look at how many that are actively running, which you can see in the network. I think there's 1,760 odd master nodes, call it 1,800 currently. So that's 18 million PIV that are in a master node structure. So those are not staking, right? So that's in a master node structure. So then take that from your total coin supply that's been emitted, and then you've got a number, right? And so now you can kind of do some calculations and go, do you think 50% are staking, right? You can kind of look at wallets and see what's moving. Some large ones are probably exchanges. So take out those numbers, and then you arrive at a I'll say a gray number of total stakers, right? And then you can look and see, the stake rewards that are going out, how many, what amount staked that won it. So it's hard to determine. I'd probably say there's probably about a third of the, PIVX total coin supply that's staking at any given time. So that's 20 million roughly odd PIV that are staked. So I'd say, 10 to 20 is probably a safe number. It is. We had actually the other day, somebody won a stake reward with 0.43 PIV in their wallet, right?
Wow.
So again, is it possible? Absolutely.
Yep.
Is that going to be a common occurrence? Most likely not, right? No. Don't expect with less than a PIV, you're going to earn, the block reward for that. But it is possible, right? So, it's an interesting question, because one of the things that actually the developers are talking about is sort of a not new, but a enhanced feature set to allow for really private and secure staking pools, right? Which again, staking pools are always this sort of like not your not your keys, not your coins. However, devising a way that actually with a small amount of PIV you can participate, and actually you'll be getting daily rewards. So rather than waiting around, right? So like right now, if you've got 100 PIV, maybe you get a stake reward once a month, right? In essence, maybe like once every 3 weeks. This way, instead, you'd be getting a smaller amount, fractionalized, but every day, right? And so from like a mental sort of standpoint, it feels different, right? When you've got something coming in every day, and then that can start to compound. Now that's putting you as a staker in a better position, right? So some of this stuff that the PIVX developers are already looking forward to once we get over the hurdle of releasing our version 5 wallet, Shield enabled. These are some of the stuff that they're talking about to really continue to incentivize the proof of stake network. But you said it too. Proof of stake is way more environmentally friendly. To use cliche buzzwords, but it is. At the end of the day, You don't have these insane power draws that are necessary. Now, until said point where we've got alternative energy devices that can collect, etheric energy, and actually we can have that in our homes. And so now we're not using fossil fuels, etc. There will always be this conversation, right? Because currently our power grids are fueled either by nuclear power or coal, right? Or some cases solar and wind, but there's a lot of resource demand even in those infrastructures that are considered green, right? In order for those to come to fruition. So it's still a massive energy draw for proof of work. Proof of stake, again, you can run the entire PIVX network. We did the calculations once. I think on, 20 homes, if they all had solar panels running, you could power the entire, network off of that, where, proof of work requires massive amounts of energy. So it's just a different mindset, right? And the other thing too is from a economic standpoint, in proof of work models, unless you're mining, you're basically, as a holder of the coins, paying someone else who did the work to get it. So your coin that you now have is being devalued, right? Unless you're actively mining it yourself to keep up with the inflation rate of what's going out. Well, in proof of stake, you as a holder, if you're staking it, then you in essence are keeping up and outpacing what the coin emission is. So you're actually not devalued. Your holdings aren't being devalued, right? Because you're actually earning on it. So you are the actual, in essence, worker. So you're getting paid for that. So it's a different mindset in that. And again, I think that affords better for a more holistic ecosystem.
Yes.
It's not to bash proof of work. Again, I'm very thankful because, look, we got here because of very creative and smart folks that put things forward. I think the future, it seems like Vitalik would argue as well, lies in a proof of stake ecosystem. So we'll see as it pans out.
And I think it's more than just a mindset. I think economically, it makes a massive difference. If you're paying someone else to secure your network, then that's always downward pressure on the price. It's always value leaving the network. You're sending so much value out of the network just to secure the network.
Miners don't hodl.
They don't, but they can't. The business model is not for them to hodl. The business model is for them to pay their money, get their equipment, and go about their business. And another thing is, miners don't care about the network. Like there's another project. Literally, they don't care. They don't. Like a lot of miners, especially in proof of work, and I guess you can do this in proof of stake, or that will happen as we move towards a more proof of work like type of thing. But a lot of proof of work miners, they'll just switch to whichever coin is most profitable, literally, and they will bash that coin down until it's not the most profitable, and then they'll switch to someone else, and they don't even look at the coin. There's one project I like called Devolve, great project, and their proof of work, and the miners there have done nothing but trash the value. Now they've also tried to have a DAO. One of the main problems with a DAO is your DAO's power is always linked directly to the value of your coin. Now, if your miners are trashing your coin, your DAO is now worth nothing. So they've got a DAO that gives out, I don't know, let's say 1 million of their coins. Unfortunately, the miners have bashed their coin down so low, the miners don't care. The DAO now pays nothing. So in those type of scenarios, moving from proof of work to proof of stake is more than just, it's an economic revolution, let's say. One of the things I wanted to mention about PIVX's move through proof of stake is just a shout out to the developers, because as we started with cold staking, a lot of us didn't really know how it would play out. We didn't know if monopolies would occur, and there is a problem with that. Like, that is something that we can't go into it blindly and say, okay, well, it doesn't exist. It does exist. If there's 51% of the mining power in the hands of one of these pools, they can do whatever they want with the network. And that's not something that we want to happen. Now, what we realized is, what we tried to do initially was to not incentivize a business model around cold staking. So we said, whoever cold stakes, all of the funds go to the person who holds the coin. So there's no incentive for you to set up one of these pools. But then what was happening was, we'd have projects like Allnodes, who are the top masternode hosting company in the world. They're just using cold staking as a loss leader. And before you know it, they're cold staking a lot of coins. Now, if they're using it as a loss leader and they end up cold staking too much, all those could turn around and say, "Ah, you know what? Let's just trash this network." Now they're nowhere near that as it is, but and all credit to him, Random Zebra. He had seen and noticed these things were happening, and they decided, okay, listen, maybe we need to look at the model that we've got here and change things. And that's where the idea to move up, I think that's where the idea to move more towards a staking pool has come from. So now there's an incentive for people to actually compete with all nodes, and I think that that kind of development within proof of stake is it's nice to be on the forefront of that. I'm proud that we're on the forefront of that. Obviously, with Ethereum coming into it, they're changing the game altogether because their staking is pretty hostile. If anything, you do anything nonsensical on their staking situation, they're going to take your 32 ETH. They've got this thing called slashing, and if you do something out of line, with us, it's kind of like, okay, maybe that's not a proper block. Go away with that. With them, it's like, okay, yeah, come bring your 32 ETH and don't talk to us again. And that type of the development within proof of stake is really interesting now, especially now you've got big boys like Ethereum jumping on the bandwagon, so to speak. So it's interesting to see where it will lead from here.
No, definitely. And that was kind of a turning point. I really think that once ETH 2.0 does kick off, and I think it's December 1st, they start implementing it and people start seeing the value of proof of stake. See, I did proof of work mining. I've got a couple L3 bricks somewhere. But the whole thing is that you're burning more electricity than you're gaining sometimes. And, with just like you're saying, people who tend to mine, they don't have the option of holding. Like, that is, I am mining at this rate to get this, and I've got to dump it as soon as I get a payout. With proof of stake, it's a lot less hostile. It's a good way to introduce people into crypto and the idea of helping a network, because they're used to like CDs and stuff from a bank, but we all know the percentage rates on those. Yeah. So PIVX can be 20 years old and probably still have a better APY. So with that kind of stuff being said, there is value in it. Now, when you introduce the proof of stake model and you can take away that electricity cost and everything else, it's a great way for people to get into it. But as I used to do proof of work, I would do a whole lot of mining on stuff that may or may not have had value. They were still coming out. And then every now and then there was the hybrid that had proof of stake and then had master nodes and proof of work on top of it. They never worked out. It always was a conflict versus the holders that want to hold it and the people who want to mine it and dump it. It was just a constant battle, and it never tended to work out. There may have been some that done it, but I don't know of any. And then
the thing is, to be fair to proof of work, currently proof of work still is, if we're honest, it still is probably the more secure way to secure a blockchain.
Right.
I guess when you compare proof of work to proof of stake, you'd say proof of work currently is probably the more secure way to put it. But again, we're talking about fine margins, and we're talking about proof of stake, which is not yet fulfilled its full potential. It's still getting better. I'd much rather sit on the proof of stake side of the fence, obviously. But but proof of work at the moment, it still does. So for the purists, a lot of the people who create blockchains now, they're a purist and they say, oh well, I want the most secure coin, even though your coin's worth 50 quid, no one's going to bother to break it anyway. They'll say, okay, well, I have to have proof of work. In reality, I can't see how proof of work will keep up with proof of stake. You know what I mean? I think Bitcoin will probably be the only one that will keep it, and then it will become a big issue eventually when they have to down tools and say, okay, look, it's time for us to move over to proof of stake. Proof of stake is now too secure for us to ignore and keep on giving money to this group of people who have got cheap electricity. Right. I think that's how the game will.
No, I agree. I mean, I've seen some people do some solar farms that they just make sense. And like that's about the only way. And then you're talking about halvings. If you don't know what that is, every few years the amount of rewards per block gets cut in half. And eventually either the technology is going to have to keep up with that, which it's already falling behind. Like if you bought a miner a year ago, it is not coming out in profit today. That is just how it tends to work. And there are people with literally warehouses full of miners that you will have to compete against. And, you know, we need them. Don't get me wrong. We need them to be able to check those hashes. Because if not, you know, you'll see everything kind of crumble down. And I think, like what you were saying, in a few more years, it's going to get extremely difficult. But let's hope the technology can keep up with it to meet that curve. However, when technology usually catches up, there is a price tag that comes along with it. And if you don't have $10,000 to drop on a miner, well,
yeah, sorry.
Good luck. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
but
sorry.
to go back, you know, kind of what Snap was saying, kind of with the pooled master nodes and staking and everything else like that. You know, we recently got into StakeCube. And you know how he was, like I say, not your keys, not your coin. Always do your due diligence on people. Make sure you don't necessarily have to take the human element out of crypto as long as they're decent people. And StakeCube has been really open. And I actually find that, you know, I've kept PIVX on there. I actually jumped into some hosted master nodes and everything else like that just to kind of compare numbers to see where my outputs are going to be better. And it actually worked out better there. Because it wasn't necessarily getting 3 PIVX at a time. I was getting like 0.1, 0.2, but I'm getting them more often. And I think that that's pretty cool because then you're compounding. And that is another thing that's really cool about proof of stake is the compound factor. All you have to do is just kind of keep it there, let it do what it's supposed to be doing, and you'll eventually earn more APY over time. And when you look at applications like ourselves and Zenzo and everything, what we kind of want to do is branch away from what we see in gaming. Thank you for the host there, Little Owl. We've seen a lot of things in gaming to where you'll buy an item and that is kind of just where it ends. You know, in the blockchain field, you actually can, you know, sell it to somebody else, trade it with somebody else, or destroy it for the value. And that's something that I've also seen something new kind of come out is staking with NFTs. I thought that was a really cool concept when with proof of stake and stuff like that. So and just like, you know, like you were saying earlier, Cryptosi, who knows where this is going to grow into?
Yeah.
And I mean, we're all been in this for a while and seeing where it's going. You know, we've actually seen another bull run kind of kick off. Everybody's been freaking out because we did have a drop in Bitcoin, but not saying that didn't happen in 2017 China foot. But you know how it goes.
We've got USA FUD now. We've got USA FUD.
We don't like being left out. we want to throw our hat in. Let's see. Could you guys say something about the dangers of deflational coins leading to people holding instead of actually spending, leading to decreasing coin velocity? That's interesting.
It's a great question. It really is. So,
yeah.
Do you want to take it, Carl? Cryptosi? Sorry.
Yeah, don't dox me,
Doxed.
thanks, Snap.
He's been doxed.
All right.
We'll catch it in post.
How do I feel about that? I'll let you go, Snappy. I'll let you go. Let me compose my thoughts.
Sure. So, deflationary coin leading to a loss in velocity. Yeah, so this is actually a really interesting question. PIVX has an interesting model around this. So let's take a coin like Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin through time, obviously block rewards continue to get halved and halved and halved. So the incentivization around a miner continue to mine it is only so much. And at some point, right, it's becoming more and more valuable for this coin for you to hold it, right? So it's not really looked at anymore as a transactional element. It's more of, hey, this thing has value, and if I don't spend it, it will go up significantly more in value, right? So I'll put an asterisk in that, right? And say, I think overall, we're in that up phase where most of solid projects, you're going to probably see an upswing in value through time because we're still so early, right, in this digital currency landscape. However, the other side of it is this. You have proof of stake projects where they will say 30%, ROI or 100% ROI. And what most people aren't realizing is that's as risky, if not riskier as well, from a standpoint, because you're left holding bags of coins that's just massively devalued, right? In financial terms, you'd call it quantitative easing. Massive QE that these projects are putting out. Now, they think that they're gaming the system by being like, look, you can get 50% ROI on your coin just by, hodling it and staking it. Yeah, but your rate of inflation at that point is going to squash you. Now, if you want to catch the razor's edge and be really crafty, and if you have liquidity, convert your Satoshi value into something else, there you go. But that's not for a long-term roadmap, as it were, or a long-term viable solution for a project. You will decimate the ecosystem that way. So. If this is interesting, because you can get into some economic theory around this, there's a lot of discussions around, what's a proper inflation for something to be an actual currency, right? To have proper liquidity that goes out into the market that doesn't devalue the underlier itself, but adds to the ecosystem growth. And that's around 3, 4, 5% a year, right? Where you have liquidity that can come out. Where you actually have new coins that go into circulation that don't devalue the project or the value of that asset, but allow for new people to actually obtain it. And that's actually what PIVX has, right? So PIVX has that mechanism baked in where there's a fixed supply or a fixed emission rate per block that's not changing. So there's no hard cap on the token. It's a perpetual emission that's fixed through time. So what ends up happening is you go through time and the actual inflation rate gradually is tapering off from, 4% to 3% to 2.9. That's over years, right? The other element too, and I'll add this in, that PIVX has is we actually burn all the transaction fees, right? So as we're emitting every block, there's also coins that are being taken out of circulation through time. So, and that's just dependent on how many transactions are occurring per block. So it's sort of a soft cap, I'll call it that way, where the market demand and market use actually will directly impact the coin supply, which then directly impacts your liquidity, directly impacts the value and the price as well. So.
No, that's pretty. That then they had followed up with another. So no spending leading to no transaction fees or will collapse of the network. So I think that's what he's trying to say. If there's no transaction fees, will it collapse the network?
No, it won't. If there's always going to be, like Snappy said, there's always going to be new coins being minted. So as there's new coins being minted, that's where, because our transaction fees are burnt. So our transaction fees aren't given to miners. Miners get brand new coins. So that wouldn't happen to us.
He's talking about in Bitcoin, I believe.
Yeah, probably. What I did want to say though was that the reason why I didn't want to just jump off and answer it, I thought I'd consider it first. And what I don't want to do is take too long on it, because literally we could talk about this forever. But I think what we have to do now with cryptocurrency is we have to go back to all of these premises that we assume hold true. So we assume that having a low velocity of money is a bad thing. That's now a baked in assumption because of the economics that we've had with, let's say, state-backed currencies. And in a state-backed currency, yes, the velocity of the money is a bad thing. I think with a cryptocurrency, I think we have to look at that. I think now we're moving to a point in I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent and sound like a mad scientist, but I think we're moving to a point in human evolution where we're not in that age that we were in the 1920s, where a lot of these theories were coming to pass. I think we're at a stage now where we don't need money velocity for people to survive. We don't need money velocity for the economy to carry on. We've got, in most of the richest countries in the world, where we're just printing money out of thin air. We're just saying, okay, well, this is the value now, and you guys can go and spend it and work for it and earn it and trade with it and blah, 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 and you must do it because we said so, and people are fine. We've spent a lot of this year printing massive amounts of money. The velocity of money now is probably at an all-time low. And yes, some people are suffering, but it's not having the effect that no money, it's not collapsed things. Nothing is
Right.
collapsed. Nothing is collapsing for anyone. Everybody's still getting to work and going to do what they want to do. So I feel like when we have to be careful not to try to apply these I don't want to say, yeah, I'm going to say old school economic theories to new school technology in new school situations. We're in a situation now where we do have somewhat of an abundance. We do have a totally different economic landscape. So I'm not particularly worried about the velocity of money anymore. I think that those days are gone. I think now capitalism has worked so well that it's outdone itself. We don't need to worry about those old theories. We need to now start to think about new ones to take us into this new age where we're not having jobs for no reason, where we're claiming to be productive because we've got a job, but we're not actually adding anything. And we've got loads of people, the entire financial industry, for example, most of them, 99% of them, do nothing and they get paid loads.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to go off on that tangent, but
We can fill in the blanks on that one.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Crypto rant over.
Well, guys, we're going to go ahead and jump into some marbles. We are going to be giving out some PIVX. So you have to have a PIVX address for me, and if you win, you will have to contact us in the Zenzo Discord. You will have to message Mr. Urine B, Wolven, JC, or myself. If you don't know who I am, I'm Tendo. So just go to our Discord. There are links to it below, and come give me a message. So our first race will be for 15, 10, and 5 PIVX.
Wait, hold on. How do I enter this race?
You don't.
You don't.
So I can't win back
Nope.
my own money? What
That's-
kind of a fleece is this?
That's kind of how we do it. If I can't race, you can't. So we've actually got another question that kind of popped up. Let me see if I can get it without... Hey, no worries, Harlock. All right, so a few years ago, there was just... All right, guys, stop commenting for just a minute because it keeps on jumping down. A few years ago, there was just a few main coins, such as BTC, ETH, and LTC, the big three, as we used to call it. I'm not sure how many coins there are now, but would assume there is more than 200. Yeah, try 20,000. Let's see. Let me try to scroll up again. I'm using a laptop over to my left, so it's kind of hard. So assume there's over 200 at a guess. Do you feel that more altcoins that are created, the less value there will be in others? Or do you feel that each project has its own merits and will hold its own value or get lost in the hundreds of other coins that there is? It's a pretty good question.
My answer would be yes.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So part of it is there's a spectrum. It's not a binary black or white for me. So I think there's a robustness that comes. Look, we're in a great evolutionary expansion exploration phase of life, right? Of what value is monitored, non-monitored, etc. So it is an organic mess. Now, in that organic mess, you have all sorts of different types of organisms. You've got people that are predatory leeches and create products, quote unquote, that literally just try and suck energy, your money away from you.
Yep.
Literally pump and dump scams, or developers who put out shiesty products. I mean, what was the one they did an ICO in 2017, and after they raised something like, $10 million, it like the website disappeared and it just said like poop on it, right? So like this type of stuff happens and still happens. It's not because it's crypto though, right? Again, This is a fundamental human decision that some people make, where they will look at another, opportunity as just that, to gain as much or to fleece as much from anyone else, right?
Right.
Their prerogative. So this isn't necessarily because it's crypto. Does it make it easier because it's crypto? Perhaps. So there are a lot of projects that are, in the, thousands, tens of thousands of projects that have been put forward that will not hold their value. In fact, they will be worth nothing. There will be no liquidity around them. Maybe in the future, there's some way to offboard them, right? You burn a Satoshi or something. I don't know. But in terms of, development, and actually from a code base, some of these won't actually actively be kept up and they'll no longer cease to operate.
Right.
So there are projects that are like that, and you can see them, and you can see the ones that have fallen out. There are others that are genuinely solidly developed that will have a chance. And there's others that are genuinely solidly developed and they won't, right? Maybe because they didn't hit a market niche or whatever they needed to get adoption. But again, this is a do your own research. It's a grand evolutionary exploration phase of this entire industry. There will be many altcoins that have incredible value. Maybe not a huge market cap, but they will have incredible value for what they need to do.
Can I?
Go ahead.
Can I? Sorry. Can I disagree? Can I disagree? Right. Okay.
Fight me, bro.
It's about 7 p.m. here in the UK. It is mad scientist time. Here we go. Right. So, Cryptosi says that every single project. No, I'm not really disagreeing. I'm just adding another part. But Cryptosi says every single project has every single project is basically a group of people putting their value in this thing, right? So what I would disagree with is I would say that you can have a blockchain now. I'd say today we could have a blockchain which is at a certain level and it can stay at that level.
Exclamation
You don't
point,
need
guys.
to have any more development done to that blockchain, and that blockchain will survive and it'll be fine and you can carry on with it, blah blah blah. You may have to make changes if you decide to scale, but I think what blockchains are about is they're about storing value. So for example, this is my mad scientist quote of the day, I could have Cryptosi coin, right? And Cryptosi coin could be all about me. Now keep your money in your pockets. I'm not asking for no money yet, right? But the idea is that whatever I do, I put, let's say, 50% of my money, of my profits into Cryptosi coin. So let's say I decide to make an NFT marketplace.
I'm on to you.
Right. You can invest now in that marketplace because I've done it. And if the marketplace is successful, or you believe the marketplace will be successful, then over time you'll make money. You use the same model that Binance use, right? You buy back your coins and you burn them. It's not rocket science, and it can be done by anybody. Now, effectively, this means that any group of people or any entrepreneur, let's say, can now go and do this. If that entrepreneur does decide to go and do this, and people decide to back them, let's say Elon Musk decides to do one, loads of people will back him. That doesn't detract from all the other hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs in the world. So effectively, any group of people or any organization can, and I would argue at this stage, should have their own blockchain to store their value in. It's just like stocks and shares, but better. No one can tell you can't sell it to an Iranian guy who's also on the internet, because you can. No one can stop you. And that's the reason why I would say there should be 1 million blockchains. There should be 1 million of them. Once we can obviously secure them, or you can, but everyone that you then stake, you're then securing. So you could be staking 4 or 5, whatever ones you believe in. But for me, I wouldn't say that if you have 10,000, it's bad for crypto. I would say we should have 1 zillion. The more, the better. And everybody should have a blockchain for themselves, for their group. I should have a blockchain for my family, a blockchain for the group of people that I work with, a blockchain for me, Snappy and Tendo, a blockchain for everything. And then that value, anytime the 3 of us work on something, that value goes into that blockchain. Anyone who wants to share in that can share in it. Anyone who wants to support it can support it. That's where I think the future is. And I think that with that in mind, the more altcoins, the better. That's my mad scientist.
Okay. All right, I got you two. And I'll raise your response with my counter. So one of the things that I have compared to, Omelo Saplinti gets first. Let's see. Madhead getting second and Robinhood getting third. Congratulations, guys. I do know y'all, but be sure to message me. I'm going to go ahead and write down the winners of this one, and I will go into my rant. One thing that you may have heard me compare this to, the Atari crash back in the 1980s. What happened back in the 1980s with Atari? Everybody and their mama was making a game. Didn't matter if it was good, didn't matter if it was bad, everybody made one. And you had this initial flood of the market. But did the video industry die? No. It evolved. It changed. It grew. What made the change? What took it out of that slump? Innovation. the NES, the Sega, the Super Nintendo, Sega CD. Moving on further and further and further to where we are today. Something similar will happen in crypto. It'll evolve. The graphics will get better, if you were. And you'll start to see the real people of the groups, instead of just a single developer coming out, groups of developers, teams, and then just it grows. Give time for innovation and you'll see a change. But then you'll see all the Atari ain't playing them anymore. You know, they're playing in the arcades, they're playing at home on the Nintendo. That's what we're doing. We're constantly trying to evolve, because if you don't evolve, you die out. And that's my counter.
Yeah, that sounds pretty much like what I said.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I just condensed. So let me see. All right. Oh, Melor, I got you down here. You got 15. You got 15. We got 10 and 5. Right.
Coach, you remember we used to do fireside chats all the time?
I remember watching you dancing in Budapest. That was a memory. I was like, this guy can dance too?
It's not fair.
Damn.
That's good stuff. Well, so with everything going on in the current realm of crypto, we all kind of have our own little thing that we're trying to tackle. With PIVX being where it's at, if you could label it in this, where in a world of oracles or games or just a type of monetary value, what do you guys consider PIVX?
Go on, Snap. This one's built for you, mate.
No, it's so kind of you. Bus. I know you too well. No, so yeah, PIVX. I'll put it in the, and I said it earlier, user data protection platform ecosystem, right? Mm-hmm. So it is in its own ecosystem, both a means of transacting value, so a cryptocurrency, an actual form of a currency. Mm-hmm. It also, in its platform stage, has a governance mechanism, right? So, and that, as we said, is in its infancy, as well as tertiary feature sets to, well, I'll say, allow the new forms of what a cryptocurrency is, right? Mm-hmm. On-chain, you've got encrypted memos, governance around it, etc. So it's not a platform that you think of like Ethereum, where you're building or adding tokens or other things into it. It's not that type of a platform. It's sort of a platform ecosystem unto itself for digital currency, right? And I don't want to say it's sort of like an OG vision of what Satoshi said, right? But I think, you know, if you want to distill it down, it is that, right? So it's a means of immediately transferring value from one member to another without an intermediary, that is allow you to maintain your rights and privacy at all times. Mm-hmm. Bitcoin doesn't let you do that. I mean, that's the funny thing is Bitcoin was like the progenitor, not knocking Bitcoin. Yeah. Bitcoin does not protect your identity. It does not protect your data. In fact, you could say it's the greatest data leak of financial data in history, mm-hmm. right? Willingly. And it's, look, I'm not knocking it. It's an incredible medium, but from a lens of allowing any entity to digitally, forensically, not that hard, link transactions, what you bought. Like I had this conversation earlier. If you want to put it this way, right? It's not too hard to jump from our realm right now to a realm where when you go to your store, because nobody's gonna be using paper currency, you're gonna you're gonna not even touch a screen. You're just gonna wave your either your watch or your phone. It's not a phone, your smart device, and make a payment. Now, what happens, right? In a Bitcoin run world, right? All of a sudden, that data that just took place knows everything about you. Why? Because your Fitbit links up to your heart rate. So at the moment of your financial transaction, it knew your whole financial provenance, it knew your health record, it knew what you were basically emotionally feeling at the time, where you were. Everybody, right? So if you think about that, and like, you know, it probably knows if you, like, you know, you're on your period, are you ovulating,
It
right?
knows
You got
when you
like,
are sleeping. It
Yeah.
knows when you're awake.
Mr. Sandman, basically. That, like, I don't think people realize that's the level of optics that I'll just put it into that echelon, who control and look at that data now have on the world, right? And here's the scarier thing for me, and it's not scary of like fear-based, it's just do people realize where we're walking into potentially?
Right.
There's how many people that are underbanked or unbanked in this world, okay? Now, there's a lot of talk around getting people that are the disenfranchised into this financial ecosystem and the economic ecosystem because they're unable to fight for jobs or economic territory, right? If you want to look at a war, the new war is this economic territory. So there's hey, we need to bring them to allow them access into this economic structure that's been created. Now, the thing that's really crappy is handing them a tool set that then basically is harvesting data. What literally is happening is it is predatorially taking data on an entire demographic that there's no data on. And it literally is handing that data into the hands of people that then are going to do whatever they want to do around that data. That's not okay. Because talk about how to then manipulate entire nations and demographics and people sets. I'm not going to say it's going to happen. However, I will also say history has sort of shown itself that the majority of times where you centralize power and decision making into the hands of a few, it gets abused tremendously because they like to stay in power. I'll just put it that way. So for me, this hits at a core of why I think PIVX sits at a unique spot of being what people thought cryptocurrencies were going to do, right? Is provide a means to transact, to keep my data protected, and allow me the right to share it when and with whom I would like to share it. The way it currently is going is it's getting harvested, and most people don't care. I'll say that. Like, the frog's been boiled in a bath of hot water for a long time. Most people genuinely do not care. But that is not a time to be apathetic about what we who know of what we then build for people to have that option. So,
well,
I love hearing this man speak. I love him.
And that's
nail on the head.
That you really couldn't break it down better, because a lot of people look at a lot of projects, and you know, they don't. When we say do your due diligence, you know, it wasn't like how we were doing it back in the day. We would spend days going through a project, you know, reading white papers, getting to know team, jumping in their, you know, whatever social media that they had, and, you know, group chats that they had, and trying to figure out. And then in these rushes that you see kind of come out, which we're currently in one, you've got a lot of people just kind of going hand over fist, just trying to put money into a project that they think's going to move. And without looking at fundamentals, you're obviously just trying to get a pump and dump out of something. But when you look at projects like PIVX that do have the fundamentals and are trying to do something and protect their users at the same time, I think it's kind of a no-brainer. Because there is a lot of different ones out there that I've seen that have offered a few different things, but it never really comes to fruition. But
can I say, sorry, Tendo, can I say for me what it is, right? When I joined PIVX, it was via Dash, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I tell this story often, but the reason why I changed, I wasn't really that into privacy at the time. Honestly, I didn't really understand it, and I was still young enough that I was just in my life running around chasing coins. Literally was what I was doing. And it wasn't until Spock, shout out to Spock, ex PIVX and Dash developer, he explained to me why privacy is so important. But what I love about PIVX the most is that it's stubborn. So with Dash, they were saying, "Oh, we're going to be a privacy coin," because Dash, it started off as a dark coin. They were a privacy coin, they're a privacy coin, they're a privacy coin. And then suddenly, when the powers that be realized that having a privacy coin is not the way forward, what they'll do is they'll go to who they think are the top guys, close their bank accounts, lean on them, give them some pressure, blah blah blah. Now, when that happened to Dash, those guys, they turned tail and they ran. They said, "Okay, what we're going to do instead is we're going to do Dash Evolution. We'll make it easy for your grandmother, and privacy is out the window." And honestly, I thought, yeah, that's a smart move. And it has been a smart move because they've made loads of money on the back of that. However, it was cowardly and it was wrong. And as you get older, you kind of realize that the world is not about collecting coins. The world is about the world, human beings, interactions, animals, environment, all those types of things. And with PIVX, what I love is that it's not about taking a loss as we do and then quitting or turning tails and pivoting and saying, "Oh, we're going to do something else." PIVX has said from the start, we're going to do privacy. Now, we may decide to use a privacy protocol that needs improvement, like Zero Coin, and then improve it only for it to actually fail on cryptographic reasons. But after that, we're not going to turn around and say, "Okay, we've tried that, lads. Let's change it now. And instead of doing privacy, let's do something else. Let's make it easy so that your grandmother can use it. Let's go for usability and let's make loads of money doing it." No, we've always said we're going to do the same thing, and these guys have always done it. Now, if I leave, it's still going to happen. If Snappy leaves, it's still going to happen, because that area of crypto is about that mission statement, and that is not going to change. For me, that's the most important thing. And the failure with Zero Coin and the new sapling that has come in, for me, it really just says this dog does not know when to quit. It's got a lot of fight in it, and that's the most important thing. I don't think there's an exploit in the world that can kill this project, because the people are the type of guys that are and women that are the never say die attitude. We're like, this is what we're going to do. This is important to us. So it's not about, like Matthias used to say when we was having our high rise, when everybody was getting rich, Matthias would say, "Okay, so what are you going to do? What are you going to do, Cryptosi? Are you going to buy a castle?" "I'm not going to buy a flipping castle. I'm going to stay in my little house with my little family and do my little thing." The mission statement is privacy. Give these people something that they can use without being exploited by the higher ups. And I would say we're sticking to that. And as long as we do, I'm happy to stay there. And that's the most important thing. That's the reason why I really respect, and I shouldn't say love, but love the project.
I'm kind of the same way in that sense, because like in our camp, it's never say die. It doesn't matter if I leave, it's still going to be Zenzo. It doesn't matter if anybody else leaves, it's still, because that's the mission, and that mission is very clear. And a lot of I've seen a few different projects kind of run by the seam of their pants, to the point to where it's like we're just going to make it work with no kind of preset vision. And they tend not to last too long, because they quickly go down a path that they didn't initially plan out, and they start running into those roadblocks.
Yeah, well, we've both had it. Like, I remember when I done a podcast with, I think his name was Joseph, and he's no longer with Zenzo. Zenzo's still going. Zenzo's better now than it was when he was there, and he was a quality individual, and he's no longer there. The project still got stronger. Same with us and Seven Hacks, Press Tab. These guys were quality individuals. They're no longer here. Project's still going. New people have come in and taken their place. I think if you can have a project that can make that transition, if you can genuinely make that transition between top people within that project, that for me, that's what crypto is about, because the energy carries on. It's like a language, it carries on. Exactly. The players may change, the game stays the same.
What's in What if Zenzo and PIVX is make a WordPress WooCommerce official gateway? That way it can check transactions that CC doesn't have any kind of verifier on their plugin. Check if confirmed. I'm trying to read your language, Chiz. That way makes use Minecraft server store gateway or any other gateway stores for gaming. And see, those are things that are coming. We want crypto to be easily accessible and used. If there is less things that are holding that up, adoption just moves quicker. Because we've come from having to rent out a server, do everything from a C prompt, to everything having a nice GUI, being user friendly, telling you if you're making a mistake. These things were not available a few years ago. Like, they just wasn't. They just like, here, champ, go get them. And a lot of people lost a lot of money because they were either sending, like, I remember the first time I got the message, hey, I sent this to a Bitcoin address. Can I get it off it? My answer is no.
I've done that. It's a horrible feeling.
It really is, because it's like, oh, it's gone.
Yeah.
That first time you send a transaction from your own wallet, right? Like an actual like core wallet to some other place, is one of the most gut-wrenching, liberating things in the world. Like when you're like, I'm going to send one of this, right? You know, a micro fraction of a Bitcoin, just to confirm. And this was back when you could do that and it would be confirmed rather quickly.
Right. So not 2 days.
You're like, click.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and then your friend's like, you get it confirmed, and you're like, good, I got the address. But you still spend like 5 minutes looking at that address, even though it just went through, because you're like freaked out of your mind. So, and the thing, that's part of, I think, a rite of passage, but
it really
there's
is
this whole new layer where I think people are just like, set it, forget it, wrong pun peel. I just, don't want to have to think about it. There is a case for that. I understand it. But understanding what's really going on is so necessary. But oh my gosh, yeah.
Nothing like
how fast things are evolving. Yeah.
And I think that's been a lesson for a lot of people. When I first kind of got into it, this was pre-ICO boom. So we didn't see that kind of traction yet. And when that started happening, and there was a ICO for literally everything, and a lot of people lost a lot of money. That left a lot of sour taste in people's mouths. So again, this is where I kind of go back and talk about innovation breaking those walls. If the innovation is there and those common fears are destroyed, that gives room for growth, because it's our jobs as the creators and designers of these things to put those fears at rest. Just like one of the little things that Kitty had put into our wallet. One of the biggest, way for scammers to get your private keys is to, just go to your wallet and put in dump private key in your command line. And then give me that. If you don't know what that means, I'll go ahead and break it down for you. You just gave all your money away.
Yeah.
And even with that little innovation that he did to where it pops up, hey, if somebody gets a hold of this, you're screwed. Just that little warning right there. Those are innovations. And you build on top of those, and you make them better. You put it more on people's faces, and you protect people better to where it becomes a standard. The PIVX standard, the Zenzo standard. These people are looking at us and making sure we're okay. And if something does go bad, I don't have to worry, because I know they're going to take care of that. That's the human element that doesn't necessarily need to be destroyed. When you're talking about decentralizing everything, what happens when something goes wrong? Who do you call? It ain't the damn Ghostbusters. They ain't gonna fix shit. You have to go hunt somebody down and be like, bruh, where's my money? And it shouldn't be that way. There should be a place to go, but I'm having a problem. Can you help me? Yes. And I've seen a lot of communities that were kind of early on. They were new and everything. They'll get their little community chat going, and then it's they keep on handing it down the line. So there's really no team in the group. It's always moderators or something like that. And they'll present a question and be like, okay, I'm going to give it to so-and-so, and then I'll present it to you. And a week goes by. That is not leading innovation. What is leading innovation would be like, hey, I got a problem. Okay, how can I help you? And making the problem go away. Acknowledging the problem exists, finding it, and making it go away. And if they are really screwed over, making it worth their time. Because sometimes it's a one keyword that you miss. Like, be sure to do this or download this. And like I was saying earlier, this is all really new, so mistakes happen. But it's how we act after the mistakes are made that define us. All right, guys! Exclamation play if you want to join in this race. We got PIVX going out here, so be sure you got a PIVX address for me. The winnings is, let me look, 15 for first, 10 for second, and 5 for third, and we will have a bigger prize on the last race. And I'm going to start that countdown at 45 seconds. So if you ain't in it, you better get in it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that to you, bro. But, you know, that's why we have these things here, so we can actually come back and talk about what's been accomplished so far. PIVX has gone leaps and bounds. Not only have they met the call of what kind of came out with the ZPIV and, you know, the protocols, they built on top of it and they made it better. Now, they didn't just give you 24 hours and say, pull this out or you're done. They've given you plenty of time, and we've even told you on the show, if you got ZPIV, be sure to convert it over. And that was like another thing with us. I remember we were doing the coin swap. I think we kept it over for a year. Yeah. We want to make sure that everybody gets taken care of. And it's really easy to kind of forget about stuff, but if I put money into something, I'm usually keeping up with the community. So that's kind of my thing too. Just don't put money into something and hope everything's going to go okay, especially with cryptocurrency. This is literally any project that exists, even outside of cryptocurrency. You've got to stay on top of things because a lot of things that are happening just this year, a lot of things are going bankrupt. A lot of people have made investments through brokers and stuff like that, where they put their money into these projects and they have literally gone belly up, and they're not getting information from their broker. They're getting it through the mail from the people that's liquidating their assets. So when you don't have to deal with that, it's up to you to stay up on that information, because cryptocurrency doesn't do that. We ain't going to send you a letter in the mail telling, hey, this is what's going on. There is a community and a group for people to hang out and keep on top of that information. Just being on Twitter, just following them on Facebook, and making sure that you have some alerts on is an easy enough way to stay up to date.
Yeah, or join the mailing list.
Yes, that's it. There's all these different ways. You have new ways of doing it. You have old ways of doing it. But I don't think they're going to be sending out snail mail anytime soon. Oh god, I hate this map. This map for marbles. Just everybody dies. Okay, if everybody dies, we're just doing another one.
Off the cliff. I'm watching.
Oh, there's one
behind.
Maybe no.
Well, that's actually a ghost. That's the person who holds the track record. If they got that little square next to them, that means they actually hold the best time on that track. What happens is that everybody's getting sent back into the portal and reflung out. I don't know. Ahmed might have it. No, just missed it. Majority of everybody always dies on this map. I just hit random too, so we're gonna be here a little while. Well, another thing about this one, if it goes on too long, the blue wall of death comes and just kills everybody. So yeah, there is that.
Everybody wins.
Or dies.
It doesn't feel like winning.
So, with you guys being in the space as long as you have, what are some of the things that you are most excited to see? Not necessarily even from just PIVX, or just anything that you're seeing in the space that is worth notating. What do you think the change is worth bringing out to light? No winners. We'll go to the next race, guys.
Do you want to go first, Snap?
Sure.
Oh, here's a question. How are developers paid, and what percentage belongs to the team?
Oh, well, I'll answer that real quick, and then I'll come back to... So, yeah, so in PIVX, again, being a DAO, which is Decentralized Autonomous Organization or Decentralized Autonomous Community, it's not a legal entity, right? So in the corpus corporation realm, depending on your jurisdiction, right? LLCs or corporations or S corps, etc. PIVX is not either of those or any of those. It is a DAO. So it is a self identifying organization, and it's governed through its own governance mechanism, which is voting that occurs based on proposals that are submitted into the blockchain ecosystem. So in that, PIVX has a perpetual opportunity for funding that occurs every month. So this is not a treasury that gets depleted. What it is that every month there's a window for proposals to come in. And if they ask for funding for a certain amount of PIV, and that proposal gets voted on yes, and it's high enough, then they can actually receive distributions from that treasury that is produced every month. So if a proposal comes in, or if actually no proposals come in for the month, those PIV are not created. It's not like it gets created and goes into a treasury and sits there. They are just automatically created based on the proposals that come in and get voted yes. So that being stated, the developers currently have a proposal in for a set amount of PIV every month. And currently it's been voted in successfully. Makes sense, right? Because you want to keep your developers around and hired and engaged. So that's how they actually get paid for their work. So if you look at that, it's actually a perpetual funding opportunity to get paid in PIV for however long the PIVX ecosystem sustains and survives throughout its life cycle. So that's it. And then anyone else, this is the beauty, anyone can submit a proposal into the PIVX ecosystem, and if approved, then they can do what the proposal says. If it's asked for budget as well, then they can get paid, right? So, at one point I was creating video content for PIVX called PIVX Press, and I had a proposal in that asked for a certain amount of PIV every month to then go out and produce video content, create, basically brand new content every week, getting distributed, etc. And I was receiving PIV for that for a period of time, right? And again, it's because the community voted on it, right? We have people that come in and have created whole communities, right? We've got a big community in Latin America, and they put proposals forward, and they have a crew to create content and do videos specifically either in Portuguese or Spanish, and the communities voted that in. So that's in essence how the entire organization is funded, is through that proposal system. But it's not it's the community. It's whoever puts proposals in. So
very cool.
So for me, the most exciting thing I'm most excited about at the moment is privacy. Not just because we've never had privacy before, because we have, obviously, but now privacy has moved, and not just with Sapling, but also with what do I want to call it, Lelantus, and with advances that Monero are making. Privacy is now moving to a stage where it's not as expensive as it used to be. So before, maybe a year or so ago, we had privacy, but it was really expensive. So for example, the PIVX blockchain is huge. Sending these private transactions would have been too resource intensive for you to do it on a mobile phone. Now we're at a stage where they're nice and small and they're nice and quick. You can do a transaction on the mobile phone. I think that this kind of shift now has meant that privacy is now actually accessible to a lot of people. Also, you've got privacy protocols outside of the zero knowledge group that are also, let's say, byproducts of our signature systems. For example, there's something called BLS signatures. Now, that in itself can give a blockchain an element of privacy. Maybe not as strong as our privacy, but again, we're talking about some pretty fine margins.
Right.
Bitcoin is talking about adding Taproot and those kind of privacy additions. So we're at a stage now where, for me, privacy is going to be something that is more accessible, more used, and when it becomes more used, it becomes more powerful, as we spoke about before. So that's one thing. The second thing I'm really excited about is NFTs, non-fungible tokens. Nothing to do with PIVX, nothing to do with privacy, but I just think they're really cool. I think it's something that has got a lot of use cases, has got a lot of legs on it. You've got artists like the well-known artist from Zenzo, Urindi, who's putting out his own. Yeah, he's putting out his own art. It's there on the blockchain. I can buy it, and once it's mine, no one can take it away from me, and I can sell it to whoever I want, and I can keep it for as long as I want, and I can flex with it, and I love flexing. So NFTs are really, that's probably the most exciting thing, even though it's not a new thing. I'd say probably NFTs and the advances with privacy. Our new privacy protocol, as Percy, I'm quite sure he's the kind of guy who's probably already got the light wallet built. But when that light wallet comes out and it's got privacy built in, then we're talking about something that has never been seen before in a crypto space, like real, accessible, powerful privacy at the tips of your fingers with a blockchain that's not going to blow beyond all things.
Yes, and that's something that I with it's just, I kind of look at it the same way you do because of where privacy was and where it's going. It's the same thing with these NFTs. You know, we come out with our own brand called ZFIs. You know, 2021, we're going to be just kind of ripping that out into the world. But the idea of being able to have instant access to your items as well as a cheap alternative versus what we've seen before. I love ETH's interconnectability, but I don't know if I was the only one that seen gas go up to 600 Gwei the other day, but I did.
Or Infura go down.
Yep.
And then ETH are going to be like, oh, we can't take it anymore. So yeah, having a sovereign chain with NFTs on it, you know, this
just saying,
it's a pretty big deal.
And I mean, we got to dip into y'all's pool too. That's where we kind of came up with. We've just got the master nodes available to where we can actually do the, you know, the voting and everything else like that. You know, we've got future the Zinzo hatchery and everything else that we want the community to get involved to find these indie game developers and game development communities that are trying to build games but can't get, you know, into the pool or anything else. And I find that there's a lot of people that do that via Steam and stuff like that. They'll find the communities, everything else, but then they'll find some ways to leech off them. This kind of goes back to what, you know, Snap was saying. That has to be reciprocated. You can't pull away from something so much that there's nothing left and expect it to produce. These game developers put everything into these games, and sometimes they are one-man teams. And if you're going to take 30 to 40% off of top of their thing, they can't develop their game. And they're going to just leave it in the dust. It's like, I'm not making any money off of it, and I'm putting 8 hours a day into it, and I'm getting $40 a week. The punishment is not justifying the means. Not only are we trying to take care of the player, we're trying to take care of the developer. The same way PIVX took care of us in the beginning. It's just something that constantly is handed down, and that, you know, it's very important to this space that we do that instead of just literally trying to sap the life out of everything of what we're trying to do. Because I've seen it done on a couple things. Because I think Filecoin just came out finally after like 3 years.
Yeah.
And I remember what they were doing. Like, I was like, bruh.
Have they released now?
I think they're out there, but the miners went on strike.
Right, okay. Right. Yeah, it makes sense.
And that's the thing. That's obviously a community that is not happy with how things were done. They had paid all this ICO money and had to wait 3 years for something that was subpar. And that's...
Some people can get away with it though. Some people, because Dash have been talking about this evolution. Dash have been talking about evolution since the dinosaurs were about. Yes, how we're gonna do evolution.
Should we go to Made Safe?
Oh no, please don't. He's British. Leave him alone. leave him. He's one of my group. Leave him alone.
All right, I won't touch Made Safe, but yeah. Well, look, hey,
yeah.
Not for nothing. ETH. How long was it before, with Ethereum, and not to bash Ethereum, it was a while before there was any type of interoperable layer for anyone that wasn't a hardcore like technician coder delving into that code. It was a
hell of a learning curve.
I think for me, the project that's done it the best and not really produced anything yet is Cardano. They're the ones that have done it because they've released a lot of papers.
True.
And they seem like they're really, really smart guys. Like when they do it, if they do it, it will be amazing. but we're yet to see it, and it's coming soon. So I think Cardano are the ones. They're the kings of the of the soon. They're the kings of it.
Hashtag soon. Hashtag soon.
Hashtag soon. Yeah.
You know, I've
Once
got a...
once we finish bashing all of these massive projects, I think.
Well, it's not necessarily bashing. This is me looking more out of a personal view. This isn't Zenzo's view. This isn't PIVX's view. This is just our personal kind of view on things. Because we're on the ground floor with you guys. So we get to see these things. And to not mention them or just to put a blind eye to it is going to be one of those things that ends up holding us back. We have to take the things that are happening in our space that we don't like or disagree with and bring it out to light, discuss it, make it better. This isn't necessarily Democrat, Republican, meh, meh, meh. That gets nothing. This is what I think is kind of happening. Can you explain it better? Yes, and then breaks it down. Oh, I didn't see that point of view. Doesn't mean I had to go for your damn throat.
Yeah.
That's what's going to push stuff along. It's not division, it's unity.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
I'm gonna have to jump.
All right, brother.
I apologize. I know it's 20 minutes before, but I actually have to pop off. This has been phenomenal. Thank you so much for having
Snappy, it was a pleasure,
myself and Cryptosi on. Cryptosi, I guess now you can share Budapest stories, unencumbered, interrupted.
Oh
Yeah, you promised.
I did.
Promised.
I did. And
So-
I will keep to that promise.
So you can share those stories of how we ended up with one Furzy and also some of the crystallization elements for I think a lot of the PIVX community. So
Cool.
but
Snap,
awesome,
brother. Thanks for coming on, man. It was a pleasure.
for everybody watching, if you have not participated in the Zenzo community, you will want to do so. Probably everybody who's watching has, but it's a phenomenal community, phenomenal project. You know, I'm biased. I love PIVX as well. It's sort of where I have cut my more recent crypto teeth in. But Zenzo as an ecosystem, look, tech aside, the people in the project are top notch, some of the best in crypto. They understand that when you build the human connection layer, then you can build the tech on top of that. So greatly appreciated. Much love.
All right, Bubba.
See you.
Be easy.
Out, Snap.
All right. Well, that was Snap, you guys. If you haven't got him in, he is in the PIVX Discord all the time. So if you have any questions that you didn't get to answered today, be sure to go over to their Discord and pop him with the tag, and I guarantee you he'll pop up in it. So Cryptosi, my man.
Yeah, just the two of us.
It's just the two of us now,
Just
sir.
the two of us.
We can make it if we try. All right, so we got about 20 more minutes left in the PIVX segment. If anybody has any kind of questions that they want to throw out, this is the time to do it. We are currently on the 4th race. As soon as this one gets wrapped up, we are going to have the grand prize race. So again, like I said, if you guys have any questions, be sure to drop them now. If you are a winner, I need a PIVX address. So be sure, and most of you guys that have won before. Kakios, I don't know if you get one, but if most of you guys has played marbles before, so be sure to message me with a PIVX address and we will get you taken care of. 5 races of did not finish. Hey man, that's just how it goes sometimes. All right, we've got winners up in here, but unfortunately, they are of Zenzo team. So if Lanes and Dad Gamer can actually make it, we'll have some winners there. A big shout out to Snap. You know, he's I remember when I first met him, he had short hair.
Yeah.
And I had long hair.
Yeah, Snappy is genuinely a great guy. He's just one of those guys that, I don't know, you know, people say I couldn't say a bad word about him, but you probably could.
Yeah.
Snappy's one of those guys that you probably couldn't say a bad word about. He's
Yep.
I would dare say that to his face.
You don't want to give him no big head or nothing, man. You can't.
No.
He'd be like, "Oh, I thought you couldn't say nothing bad, huh?" Yeah, I know how.
He's a great guy. He's a great guy.
He really is, and you know, him saying that even about us, you know, it has a pretty big meaning, because a lot of people that have been in this space, when they step back and they look at it, PIVX or Zenzo, and they look at our projects, they don't have to say anything nice. They could literally just pick it apart for whatever bad things are in it. They could find it.
Oh, and they do.
And
they do.
But it also comes with you take it with a grain of salt, because they usually present it as a type of constructive criticism. It's like, I see what you're doing, but I think you could do this better. And if you take that for what it is, your project will be better. I mean, instead of just be like, no, it's, you got to listen from the outside every now and then.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Let's see here. So we've got Siggy. Let's see.
Siggy is great on Twitter. I'm always tweeting and liking his stuff.
Yeah, he is definitely always on it for sure.
I don't think I've ever met him actually in person. I'm gonna have to add that to my bucket list.
All right, guys, this is the big race. So the winner will receive, first place will get 25 PIVX, second place will be getting 15, third will be getting 10. All the first races have been for 15, 10, and 5, so it's a little bit mo. Good luck, everybody. Exclamation play to get in if you want to win. Don't do it. I'm watching you. I see Cryptoshi pop up on there.
I tried to, but then my Twitch is not logged in, and I can't remember my password. And I'm on my machine that I haven't got my what's that little password thing on it? It's not on this one, so yeah. So
which is such a great thing, but also such a bad thing, because you end up with like all these really good passwords, but you can't remember any of them.
But you can't remember. My memory's like a sieve as well. So
yeah. You know what you won't forget? Your password wallet. Your wallet for your password. Yeah, there you go. My dyslexia kicked in hard.
Where I hide my private keys, that's one place I'll never forget.
I'm in Texas. I had it pretty good, but I wouldn't try to come get it. Just saying.
You could just leave it on the dining room table next to the shotgun. If you want to take it, you can take the keys and the bullets.
Yep. Yeah, you might leave with a little case of lead poisoning. That's all I'm just gonna say about it. All right, guys, be sure to get on the track. This is the big race, so exclamation play, and we're going to start that countdown in just a few. Kurtosi, it's good. I finally got you on a checkpoint, my brother.
I know. It's been difficult to make it to this point in my career, but finally, after a lot of hard work, I'm here.
Yeah.
And I'm honored to be here, so.
Well, I was glad to be able to reach out to you guys. We did want to have more people on the show, but it's the holidays, and it's just too hard to try to get everybody together. I wanted to do this long, grand 6-hour show and have different segments of everybody that's been on previous guests and come on, but it just didn't work out. And that's just how it goes sometimes. But we did manage to get the PIVX, guys. We do have Splinterlands coming up, so stick around. We've got a lot of show left. All right, guys, we're going to start it up. 45 seconds. Let's go. This is a long map, too. But, man, I do appreciate you coming on. If there's anything that you want to leave these guys with to kind of chew on about PIVX, this is the time to throw it at them.
Oh.
What can we expect this 2021 coming up with PIVX?
I don't know. Do you know what I've been thinking about a lot? Right. So this is my third. This will be my third bull run, and I have never seen a project have a bull run and then have a second bull run. Now, I don't know if this time around we'll see some projects have a second bull run. I don't know. If we do, I think that will be very interesting for the industry. Let's say that we'll know that a project can stay around, it can be hammered by a bear market, and it can survive, and it can be reborn. It's not only Bitcoin and Ethereum that can be reborn, or like let's say the Big 10.
Right.
So that's what I've been thinking about recently. So I don't know if the other people on the stream have any opinions on those sorts of things, but that's what's really been going through my mind in the last, let's say, month or so, since we've known that the bull run is coming. It will change things for us. Obviously, we'll have a bigger budget, which will mean we can go and coach more talent. Oh, that's what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to tell the story of how we got there. what time is it? We got 10 minutes. So
We got it.
I'll condense it. Right. So basically, there was a guy who joined PIVX. This was right at the beginning when we had a lot of energy. The code base was an interesting, a hot mess, I guess, is how we described it. It was a hot mess. But we were rocking and rolling. We decided we was going to go with zero coin. It hadn't been done yet. We were moving forward. We'd gone from Dash and we'd move it to proof of stake. Dash themselves said it would take years, blah blah blah. And the other So what had happened was that a guy called Matthias had joined. Snappy had really just kind of come to the forefront with his energy, and it kind of just went through a lot of, like, as Snappy would like to say, it resonates, right?
Yeah.
And I never used to use that word, but I understand what it means. So that energy just joined us, and we gained a lot of talent in that time, right? Not necessarily developers, but people who were highly skilled in their own, I guess, vocation. So they had their own job doing something, but they were good at it. Sorry, my son's yelling. So this guy come along, and his name was Matthias, right? And genuinely, probably the best human being I've ever met in my entire life. No word of a joke. Like, this guy was just amazing. I don't know what he done for a living. I've got a sneaking suspicion he was some kind of operative, like, I don't know, like a spy or something. Like, he was super cool Argentinian guy. He was just amazing, right? And he was just building these connections with loads of people, just building these connections like human connections. Here he comes.
What's up, Bob?
So thanks. No, bye. So anyway, so we started to get this grouping, this kind of like what we've got with Zenzo, but with another project called IOP. And there was two projects that were kind of close. One called IOP, one called Format, and they were based in Europe. I'd gotten really friendly with this guy called Marcus, real old school, we're not having it type of like stern crypto guy. I don't want to do nothing for the man. This is where I'm going, blah blah blah. Roman, you're gonna have to go. I'm telling you a good story. So if you stand, you have to be quiet.
The joys of fatherhood.
Yeah, I know.
That's it.
But you can't be on YouTube. So anyway, so we went over to Budapest. They was having this meet. You're gonna have to go downstairs. Come on, good boy. They was having this. They had a meetup, so we decided we was gonna go and gate crash it. Matthias was the one who led the charge. He said, "Okay, yeah, let's all go." Blah blah blah. I said to Snappy, "Do you want to go?" Snappy was like, "This will be amazing. We've never met each other." So off we went to this place. When we was there, they had a bunch of developers. Now IOP's project's still around. Now they are real developer heavy. Like, they've got a lot of developers, a lot of developer power. Some of the people who have left there, one of the guys, a guy called Kayaba, he's now going on to Meros. Other guys there, Kayaba's building his own. He's building his own cryptocurrency from scratch. They had a lot of other guys there, really talented. So anyway, when we got there, there was this one guy there called Furzy, and he presented this software which he had finished. Roman, no, stop. What are you doing? No, I'm telling a story. You're ruining my story. No, you can't tell the story.
No, you can't tell the story.
He doesn't even know the story. You don't know the story. The story's about cryptocurrencies. Okay, let me tell the story, and you can tell the story after, because we've still got. Yeah. So can I tell a story, then you can tell them the story after? You can tell them a story about our dog. Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen on the CP, man.
Right, I know. All right. He's about to tell you a wonderful story about our dog. It's amazing. But right, so anyway, we've gone to this place, and he's pulled up this thing, and it's about a tenement block. It's a governance program for a tenement block. So for a block of flats, so everybody can vote on what type of services they want, how much they want to pay for them, this, that, and the other. And this is amazing. So I'm watching this, and I'm like, and they finished it, and I'm like, this is amazing. You can take this to management companies today and get paid. Why don't they do that? I said this to Marcus. Marcus said, well, these are developers. They don't think that way. They're not entrepreneurs. They're just developers. Okay, fine. So we go out to drink that night, and we're all drinking, and we're having a great time. And Thursday pulls out his phone, and he shows it to me and another guy. I won't say the guy actually, because he's since left PIVX under a hail of wildness. So he pulls out his phone, and on his phone he's got a mobile wallet, and it's a PIVX mobile wallet. And he only found out about PIVX maybe the day before. So he's gone home one day after the meetup and made a mobile wallet.
Mm-hmm.
So he's done it in literally 6 hours. And
Wow.
we've been trying to get a mobile wallet for months.
Yeah.
This guy is unreal. So I've seen this and I'm like, wow. And he's like, yeah, don't show anybody, but yeah, I done this last night. The guy next to me, he's I don't know what he done, but I figure he's some kind of top executive something. But I genuinely don't know what he done, but I figure he's some top executive something. So later on that night, we go out and we're eating blah blah blah, and he says, "Okay, Thursday, come and let's go and have a kebab or something."
Mhm.
So we're sitting down, we're having this kebab, we're talking, and we're all kind of friendly. There's me, there's this guy, there's Thursday, and there's Thursday's other, let's say, project manager from the old project. And then this guy just kind of switched. No, it wasn't PIVX. It was another project called Clement. And then the guy on the PIVX team, he just switched the whole mood of everything. And he said, "Listen." Meanwhile, all four of us sitting at this table, and he said, "I don't give a."
Earmuffs.
He said, "I don't give a f about this guy. I don't give a f about your last project. I don't care about none of that. I'm gonna give you X amount of dollars every month, and you're gonna come and work for us." And I was sitting up. Meanwhile, we'd always been this nice PIVX guy. We were like, "Oh, yeah, happy, joy. We're nice guys, blah, blah, blah. Join the community, bro." And then he's just gone crazy. "I'm gonna ransack the whole village," kind of thing. Like, you can take your hands off now. And I'm like, I was kind of figuring, and then Thursday was kind of like, "What the hell?" And me and Thursday kind of looked at each other like, "What the hell is going on here?" Anyway, the other guy, the other manager guy, he wasn't in the same league kind of thing, so he kind of left, went about his business. After that, we got Thursday. The incumbent dev team at the time were a bit hard on him. I think I don't know if they were jealous of his ability or what, but yeah, the rest, as they say after that, is history. But it was really intense the way things kind of switched from a nice friendly kebab to all of a sudden, "Listen, buddy,
Business.
yeah, listen, buddy, you work for us now." Like,
Wow.
and it was a situation that I've never been in. But now, before we go, because we've got like 5 minutes, and then we're going to go and watch the rest of Strictly, we're going to let Roman tell you a story about our dog.
Let's hear it.
Come on, Roman, tell us a
Let's hear
story
it,
about our
Tom.
dog and what happened. You can put this on so they can
Hello, young sir.
Our dog is called Esco, and he lost his eye
How did he lose his eye?
because
Whose son?
because my cat scratched it, and it got worse and worse, and then he was a bit like blinking. He
Man,
was like blinking.
Yeah, it was hurting him, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
that
then what happened?
sucks. Cats are mean like that.
And then we have to put his eye out. But his eyes were like dark.
It's got closed, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a sad
Right,
story,
so
but I'm
bye-bye
glad
now.
he's okay.
You can't really see very well. Like, he normally walks into stuff, not that often.
Well, I can see just fine, and I walk into stuff all the time.
Right, do you want to say bye-bye now?
Bye-bye.
See you later, little C.
His name's Kendo.
Bye-bye.
You can say nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
That was a good story. Well done.
That was a very adorable segment on the CP.
Right. I'm
Well-
going to go and try and feed this guy. Have you eaten already? Are you eating? Oh, okay. Well, I'm going
I
to go and
haven't.
feed this guy then. Yeah.
Feed me.
And
please.
watch the rest of it.
Well, all right,
Not
Mr.
feeding him
Cryptozy.
food, yeah.
It has
Don't
been
eat
a
it.
pleasure, sir.
Good day.
And
Because I
next,
have all the time. Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Okay.
And it's been a
Sometimes.
pleasure, sir. We are going to be back here in just a few minutes, guys, with Splinterlands. We will see you then. Peace.
Thank you, and congratulations to all the winners. Well done, guys.
Later. All right, guys, we'll be back in just a moment. Bye.
See ya. Bye.
Yeah. It was amazing.
Hang tight, guys. We're just about ready. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are back. Mr. Agro Ed is currently mobile right now. He had got caught up a little bit in the Black Friday madness that's out there. Let's see if we get everything going on here. Let's see. My stream's like, there we go. There we are.
We're live.
We are live, sir.
All right.
This. Right, left. Screen 2. Okay. So now I just got you on audio. We've got Agrohead on, guys. He's out of the Splinterlands camp. He's been on here before, but he's got a few changes to be talking about. So we've got a land sale.
We had a land sale.
Okay.
That was earlier today, and believe it or not, the damn thing sold out in less than an hour.
Holy dang.
Yeah, we had our first one earlier in the month, and we sold out in 21 seconds. This was our second one. This one sold out in like under an hour. And then our third one will be December 19th. So that one is probably going to be a bit more of a struggle to sell out, but that's kind of how we designed it. So that's not unexpected.
Right on. Well, that's very cool. Congratulations on getting that taken care of. That was pretty quick. I was just looking at it yesterday, and I was like, maybe I'll look into that. I guess can't do that now.
No, well, you can. You just have to wait another week or two, and the deal. We made the deal progressively not quite as good. It was a 50% discount. This one was a 40%, and the next one will be a 30% discount. And then after that, there's no more discounts on the land, and it's just going to be full retail price for the rest of it.
Right on. So if you guys aren't familiar with Splinterlands, why don't you guys go ahead and give the audience a little bit of a rundown on what Splinterlands is, and I'm going to jump into a game.
Sure. So Splinterlands is a trading card game, similar in aspects to like Hearthstone or Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, or Pokemon. But we use the blockchain as the base of the game, which means that, for the technical people, they can really into just how nerdy and all the details of the blockchain. But for people that aren't familiar, what we're doing is we're providing token ownership. So you have, you own the token, and you are able to like play with your cards, transfer them. There's a secondary market, so all the cards can be for sale, which is something that is often prohibited by these other trading card game companies. So there's a lot of options out there for just how you can interact with your tokens. The other thing is that you can start earning. So when you're playing the game, you actually have the ability to earn crypto for wins and tournaments and all this other fun stuff, which just makes it, that's part of like the ethos of a blockchain game. Of we want to make sure that the players are being rewarded with things that have actual value, and so players come in, they'll buy some cards. The game has some limits in there where you can't win all the prizes if you don't own at least some nice cards. So there's some grinding aspect to it. There's some staking some aspect, and a lot of it feeds into the reward aspect of the game. The game itself is like a 3-minute match, so it's not turn by turn like some of the other trading card games. It's an auto battler, and that means that the matches are super quick. And the thing that the game is really testing you on is strategy.
Right.
So it's less about the tactics and more about the like hardcore, high-level strategy of how you build your teams. And you have to build different teams all the times because we rotate what rules are in effect. So there's not like one uber powerful card. We rotate through, and that means that like in some circumstances a card could be super powerful, and in others it would be like unplayable or really bad. So, and that's how we like it. We like it so that there's not, own these 6 cards and you win. We want it so that, get this range of cards so that you can be a good player in a multitude of rule sets.
Right on. So yeah, I'm just going through a few matches right now. I did manage to win my first one. Let's see if I can get me another. But yeah, no, I've been playing Splinterlands for a while, especially like we brought you guys onto the last checkpoint. And if you guys want to stick around, be sure to, if you want to get into Splinterlands, we've got some card packs that are coming out for the races a little bit later in the show. So that somebody said, can you lose cards if you lose the fight? No, you get to keep your cards.
Yeah, we didn't want to go that route. We try to make it so that if you win, you get some positive stuff.
Right.
But, we're not big fans of the we're destroying your cards or something. In the land, like players are going to have, you get your land and you're able to build buildings on it, and then you can harvest and craft resources. And ultimately, the goal is to make it so that the players can themselves craft items and spells which can be used in the battles. And we wanted that in the battles because right now it's just a blind draft game, which is fun and cool, but we also wanted a second round where it's no longer blind. You can see what your opponent chose, and you have a second strategy round to be like, all right, knowing that my opponent did this, then my response is this. So it'll go to like a 2-round combat game, and we thought it was really important to allow the players to have authority to mint tokens on in the game. And so not only can they buy packs, and we like that they buy packs because that's how we've made our money, but we said, you know what, we're going to transfer the ability to mint these items and spell cards over to the players, which is literally the single most crypto thing I think we could have done.
For sure. And that's really kind of the cool aspect, because I see some people go down that hardcore route, and it's kind of a double-edged sword, because people enjoy the game, but then they'll lose something, and then they don't want to play the game anymore. And so kind of having it accessible for everybody, I think that's pretty cool. So with the land sale and everything that's kind of came out, what are some of the benefits of owning land?
Well, again, the whole thing is around making these items and spell cards, and I really can't it's hard to oversell that, or hard to share how cool that is. The game, we've made millions of dollars by selling card packs.
Right.
And the cards themselves are on the secondary market. It depends on how you calculate it, but it's in the ballpark of $6 million worth of cards is how the players value the cards that are circulating. So that's a lot of money. And what we're doing is we're saying, for this next batch of cards, for this next part of the game, the items and spells, we're not going to print them. We're going to design them, but we're handing over the authority to mint them to the players. So these are cards that we're not going to sell. These are cards that the players themselves are going to be the ones to mint. And that to me is just like the most crypto thing ever, of decentralized, here's the way that we make money, and now we're turning that over to players. Like if that's not crypto, I don't know what is.
Well said. And I mean, that's the spirit of it, right? I mean, it's kind of a thin line when you start talking about that.
The free-to-play guys are always like, how do I get as much money out of these gamers as possible?
Right.
And our mentality is, how do we reward the players as much as we can? And whether it's minting their own cards, whether it's playing in tournaments, whether it's earning rewards cards that have real-world value. Like, one of the most amazing things to me is that we give cards out to players at the end of a daily quest and at the end of a season. And we give those cards out for free, but on the secondary market, collectively, those cards are valued at $1 million. So we gave it for free, and the players value at $1 million. That's pretty amazing to me. Especially, we have a huge game for crypto, but it's still like a relatively small game by AAA standards. So this whole thing, it's really cool to watch. It's cool to engage. It's cool to figure out, like, some people are just there to play the game and win the honor. Some people just want to buy cards and hope that they either appreciate or rent them out for passive income. And others are really into like flipping. Some are here for the lore. Some are here because they're like hardcore crypto fans. It's this like giant weird mix of people with lots of different reasons for being here, and it's fun to try to navigate this community.
Very cool. Very cool. And that's crypto communities, and especially in crypto gaming, can be done in a multitude of different ways. And when we look at it as a whole, it's something that has to be done very well thought out, especially when, you know, we've got other games and everything out there with either, you know, they're saying they're free to play, but they're getting completely beat by everybody who was there early on or anything else like that. I didn't really ever feel that with this game. I felt like as long as I played it, I was advancing. I was getting better. I was getting better cards. I was making better decks. So
that was actually really important to us. So when we design cards, we have a giant spreadsheet, and there's rules that we have in terms of applying certain benefits to cards. And in each edition, we didn't change the rules. So in a lot of games, what they do is they do power creep. So the second edition cards, you need them because they're so much more powerful than the first, and it screws over the entire first generation of card holders.
right.
On the flip side, if you make it so that they're worse, then there's really no reason to go purchase the cards after the first edition. So instead, look, these cards, they might have new abilities and they might have new combinations, but we're not just going to release things that are, you know, 5 times more powerful than what it's been previously.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's the equation that works, right? And that's what I'm like. There's so many different ways to even just get crystals. Like I looked in my Tron wallet and had like, I had a little bit of Tron, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna turn these into crystals. And I mean, that's the kind of cool thing, is that y'all actually have multitudes of ways of actually tying into different blockchains. So very, very cool. Uh-oh, I got a gift.
Yeah, we try to be as blockchain agnostic as possible. Like, don't get me wrong, I like Hive.
Thank you.
But the challenge with Hive is that, you know, it doesn't have like the world's biggest capital markets. And so it's really important to us to go keep interacting with these other chains to go find new players and find new buyers.
Mm-hmm.
And so we keep building partnerships and technology to help us bridge into new communities, which can include building new NFT marketplaces in place, or joining NFT marketplaces by acting like an oracle and printing cards in new places.
Mm-hmm.
So we got some work that we got to do to make things like that happen, but it's worth it because we're just trying to grow the user base of the game.
Very cool. Very, very cool. And I mean, because I watch Bosak play it all the time, and like, I've watched his cards and I'm envious, but it's not one of those things to where it's like those cards are unreachable. Like I had a new quest that I came into last night, and I got like 5 chests, and I opened them all up, and then I had some spare, you know, crystals, so I got one of the dice, and it's so just at the right spirit of what free to play is, that I mean, I really think that even traditional gaming models could probably learn something from this, because you have card games that are free to play and everything else, but you tend to hit a brick wall. And with that kind of coming out in the way that y'all have done it, it's really kind of a refreshing thing, especially as a card player. I was digging through my Magic the Gathering cards just the other day because, you know, all the Pokemon cards came out as the rage as of late, and I'm just like, I wonder when they're gonna hit first edition Magic the Gathering cards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those are physical ones. So if you look at these digital ones, they hold up a lot better. You don't have to worry about wear and tear. You don't have to worry about any kind of damage or anything else like that. So from a collecting point of view, I find that the digital version is a lot more convenient.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, it makes a pretty big difference in terms of just how you can interact with the cards in your collection. I mean, this goes back to why you can rent cards here. So like, you know, I owned Magic the Gathering cards that could be, you know, moderately expensive in the $10s or $20, and there's like zero chance I would ever lend those to my friends.
Yeah.
You know, it's just too much money and too much risk, and it was unlikely that they would come back at all. And even if they did come back, they'd come back in a mutilated condition.
Right.
And by having this on a blockchain, one of the things that we can do is allow players to rent cards, which actually ends up making like a whole class of player that is like a token hodler, who then also gets a passive income stream by renting these cards out.
Right. Very cool. See, that's the thing. I haven't gotten into the renting aspect yet, but I definitely want to. As like every time I stream with you guys, there's people just throwing me decks. So I just had somebody give me another deck. I do appreciate that very much. I was at Splinterland.com. Even got it in your name. I'm gonna open that up after this match. I'm gonna hand DG's button right back to him. And after I open that card deck, we can go jump into some races, guys. So yeah, the I was going through the whole freaking Black Friday madness yesterday. It was crazy how tame it was comparatively.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like a global pandemic to slow Black Friday sales.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people did go digital. I mean, that's kind of the smart thing. But I mean, then you had like Cyber Monday and everything coming up. But it's really like, are you really getting a deal? Really? But I ended up getting a few things, but nothing that was like crazy priced or anything. It's just, I'm glad people chose to kind of stay in versus going wrestling each other in the supermarkets.
Yep.
Because I mean, that's just gonna make things worse. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get into it. I'm a half mad conspiracy theorist and have strong opinions on this that I will gladly reserve.
We'll save that for another checkpoint. Yup, got me another win. Sorry, DG. All right, so I do.
You don't need to apologize for winning. You just need to taunt for winning.
Suck it, DG. No,
yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
All right, let's see here.
That's how that works.
All right, let's see what I get out of this. See, this is me opening a card pack, so this is what it's like. Come on, be something good. Ooh. Hey, we got a rare right off the rip. Chris Jaguar got one of those. Goblin Thief. And it is gold. Excellent. Thank you very much for the pack, sir. All right, so we are going to jump into some races. We're going to get that kind of started up. We are racing for packs. So first, second, and third will receive a pack. On the last race of the checkpoint, you will not only receive a pack, you will receive 500 Z in Z. So stick around. It's going to be a good one. All right, Aggro, let's go ahead and jump into that. We'll get some marbles going. So how you been since the last checkpoint?
Life is pretty tumultuous. There's wonderful things happening for Splinterlands. Things like selling out of
that's cool. That's super cool.
Sale. That's pretty good. So business is generally good. I got my own personal troubles to toss into that, but whatever. You just
gotta roll with the punches, man.
Just gotta roll because this shit keeps coming at you. It doesn't really matter. 2020 is leaving absolutely nothing behind in its wake. Whatever it is that you have to deal with, I hope that you're enjoying dealing with it because it's just brutal. At least you just like. Did you ever see the latest Mad Max movie?
Yes, I have. I was a huge Mad Max fan back in the day, so that one's cool.
Fantastic. I just like the idea that you blow some chrome on your teeth, shout at the top of your lungs, witness me, and put up with the rest of 2020.
That's great. You heard the man. We just got to spray the teeth and survive. I mean, we've only got just about a month left in this god awful year, and hopefully next year we see some light because all we got to do is survive, right?
That's it. It's a relatively small mission. You know, just make it to 2021. If you make it, you beat the boss. The boss mode of 2020 was just not dying.
Yep. Turns out it was a dungeon boss, and it took hundreds of us to actually survive and beat it. Some of us didn't walk away without our scars, that's for sure. But you know, that's where these communities and everything kick in. I feel sorry for a lot of people that are in the mainstream and they used to go to the bars and everything else like that, and they don't have a crypto community to come home to. Straight up. Because if you look at other people's communities and everything else like that, when in the gaming realms or anything else like that, they're usually pretty tight knit. So having somewhere you can go to either vent or tell people about what's going on, it's very important to have, because when you're locked up for like a month, you need to tell somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's, you know, we're all people. We all got to figure out how to deal with this. And you know, if I'm bringing back into just Splinterlands, you know, it's the kind of thing of like, look, you're stuck at home. Life kind of sucks anyways. You might as well just play a game. You know, like, I know that that's not like the best selling vision ever, but frankly, that's just 2020 has been so bizarre that, you know, if you could just like hang out, play a game. Our community is fantastic. I mean, you're experiencing some of that now with people sending you dark energy crystals or packs or whatever. Just people wanting to participate and help you for engaging with us. That's what our guys do.
See, and that's what it's about. It's not about keeping everything for yourself. It's about spreading out the love. And when you put that out there, more people are just drawn to it. But guys, if y'all haven't seen the race before, we are currently racing for card packs. All you got to do is type in !play to join, and then if you win, you need to message me on Discord. I will be jotting down your name, but be sure to reach out to me so we can be sure that everybody gets their prizes. Agroed, we just had an event minutes ago, exactly like what he's talking about. Feel like mentioning it.
Which event?
That's what Splinter Lore said. He said we just had an event exactly like what he was talking about. So I don't know exactly what he's referring to, but
she's probably. Are they talking about Digicon?
I don't know. We'll see if we can get him to kind of clear that up. Splinter Lore,
do the words.
Speaketh the words.
Yeah.
Want to know how to sell your cards? I think there's probably like a guide or something out there, isn't there?
Yeah, there's guides, but you
don't sell your cards.
If you have cards, you just go to the market or you go to your card collection.
There you go.
There's a couple buttons. You list them for sale, and then you wait until people buy them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
You just do it through the game. Exactly.
Yeah. Splinterlands.com. I mean, there are other sites that you can use because there's third-party markets that are pretty good. But if you're only going to do like a handful of cards and they're not $1 million cards or something, you know, you just do it through the game. If you're going to do like 5,000 cards, which plenty of our guys have and do, there you might want to use some of the sister sites. One of the best ones is peakmonsters.com. Peak, P-E-A-K. They're a site that has some functionality for their markets that we don't. So,
nice.
Other one
looks like you found it.
Market or splintx.com. SplintX is another great place to do a lot of business all at once, like a lot of cards.
Thank you for posting that link, Stealth Traders. Posted up the link for Peak Monsters. All right, guys, so we're going to kick off this race. You got 45 seconds to get in for your chance to win some Splinterlands packs. So, let's get it. So with everything that's kind of coming out, what is 2021 holding for Splinterlands? What's coming?
So the two big things are guild tournaments. So we're going to have like a whole second series of ways that the players can interact with each other and battle each other and fight through far more social interaction, which are guild tournaments, where they're basically 3-day long events that keep reoccurring every 3 days, where every guild that wants to participate can go build their guild buildings up and use those to go fight in a variety of tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
And so we already have tournaments now, but these tournaments are a little bit special in that they're just like exclusive to the guild, and so you're fighting as a team, and I don't know, you're working towards guild prizes, things that will impact you that won't necessarily impact other players of other guilds, or other, if you're not in the guild, you don't get the benefit.
Right.
So I don't know, I think that one's pretty novel. And then the rest of the development roadmap is really focused on Guild Wars, or not the Guild Wars, on the land sale. So the land sale isn't like really about we got to get the whole thing actually built. We have to go, where's your land going to be? What do the buildings look like? What does it cost to upgrade? What does it cost to make these items? How do I get my monsters to work on the land? Like there's a whole thing about it.
Mm-hmm. Very
So
cool.
From a development perspective, it's guild tournaments and building out the actual land that we just sold. So we'll have some more promises that we gotta make good on.
Nice, very nice. Yeah, and I'm gonna try to jump into that next land sale, because land, I mean, it's one of those things that where if you're holding on to it, it can just help you out, and not including just grow in value. Let's see, what does it mean? What does capture rate mean?
So when you're battling, what we didn't want to have happen, because there are bots that join up into the Splinterlands. It's blockchain, and there are going to be accounts that are bots. We just can't.
Yeah.
And you can't always tell that they're bots. It might just have a human name or whatever. And if you start banning them, then they just start getting a lot more sophisticated.
Mm-hmm.
So what we ended up doing was we really wanted to try to eliminate any benefit that you could get from playing 24/7. And so your account has what's called an energy capture rate, and when you are battling, it goes down, and when you're resting, it goes up. And so if you're constantly battling, it means that you can't capture dark energy all that well.
Right.
And so even if you win every single match in a row, you're still getting just a teeny tiny fraction of the dark energy crystals that you could have won.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's basically a way to ensure that bots don't have any kind of natural advantage over humans, because we want the benefit to be human based, not bot based.
There you go. That's straight from the horse's mouth, gang. Well, congratulations on our winner for our first race, Lanes, Little Owl, and Squids or Gibbs. You need to come to our Discord and send me your Splinterlands name, correct? I think that's what you need to be able to send those.
Yeah, if you have those, when I send you packs, you can just distribute after the race or after the show.
So, if you do not have an account over there on Splinterlands, go make you one. Send me the username, and we'll get you a pack to start you off. All right, so let's get the next race up and going. All right. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, I mean, is there anything that you may want to tell people that might be going on that they may not know about?
Let's see, lands, tournaments, partnerships. Those are kind of the three big ones. We released our mobile app. It's amazing that giant things like that just kind of fall into the noise of what we build and what we do. But we released our Android mobile app, so now you can go to the Google Play Store, and if you have an Android phone, you can download Splinterlands.
Nice. That's very nice.
Yeah,
so you can just get that off the Play Store, right?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And then we have the iOS app it's not quite in production, but it's there's a heavy overlap between the two. So I'm expecting that thing to go live maybe by the end of the year is what. Well, we'll at least submit it by the end of the year. Whether or not it's accepted by the end of the year isn't really in our control.
Whoa, Mondo,
Yo,
cool.
Clove coming in with that sub. Thank you so much, sir. Let's see. We've got tournaments, prizes were double or something for December, right, Aggro?
Oh, yeah. So because the land sale was so successful, we give out, it's about $10,000 in tournaments per month. And for the month of December, we're going to do 20,000. So that's
nice.
That's our way of saying thanks, guys. Thanks for helping us. We just want to sit around and build cool games.
Yes.
And I know the players are interested in maximizing earnings and getting leaderboard status and all the other things that we create. But what our number one mission is just make sure there's enough money in the door so that we can keep building this thing out.
Yeah.
And ultimately, what our number one goal here is to be the first game in blockchain to really mainstream. So that's what we're working on.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's the thing. Like, what you've made is a very easy way to get into it. That hurdle that a lot of them just not there. It's easier to kind of just get into and then start scratching more off the surface and then inadvertently get taught about blockchain. So I think it's a great way of doing it.
That actually goes back to Hive. The fact that Hive is a freemium blockchain is what enables that. Because in the other blockchain games, they all have transaction fees.
Mm-hmm.
And in order for you to do an action, you have to pay the fee, which means that you to even just buy cards or something, you have to own crypto first, which means that you are bound to players that can only who are from a pool of people that have already figured out crypto,
Right.
and that's a pretty small population. By using Hive, which is a freemium blockchain, we're actually able to just cover the cost. There is no gas cost. You have kind of a limitation on your actions, but Splinterlands as a game has ways to cover that for the players. So ultimately, somebody that's new to the game can just come in and start playing, and all of that blockchain stuff, at least initially, should be invisible to them.
Right. And that's kind of how I look at it too. I mean, we're kind of going after that same approach, just like even with how we're designing Coda. You can get into it, may not be able to get the full benefit out of it until you have a little CNC in your wallet, but you can still play it and decide if you want to take it further or not. And then you can start scratching off those levels. But I don't think we did it as well as you guys did in the sense that you don't even have to know anything about blockchain. Because like with ours, you're going to have to download the wallet, get the forge, and that kind of stuff like that. But that barrier with you guys is not there. And I think that's super cool and will definitely streamline adoption.
That's the hope.
That's the hope. And I mean, it's just a matter of time. I mean, everybody's trying, like, the difference between the 2017 run and this year's run, there's actual fundamentals holding up. So that's kind of a good thing. And then on top of that, you have more people getting into it and are kind of a little bit more, I wouldn't say protected, because that's kind of a strong word. There's a lot more people in the space that are going to try to guide them in the right direction. Now, for better or worse, a lot of people will run into people that are trying to do the opposite. But I feel like there's a lot more people now that are going to be like, I mean, there's even a Twitter account that's like, no more rug pulls. Like, you know what I mean? So there's people that are trying to stand up against that, and I think that's super cool. Lanes, you got 2 in a row, bud. Congratulations. All right, Big Smile, Lanes, and Stealth Trader, you guys are the winner of the next race.
I got about 5 more minutes, and then I got to hop because I got my own.
Yep, no worries, brother. No worries. Well, with 5 more minutes, guys, if you guys have any questions you guys want to throw at Aggro, this is the time to do it. on top of that, Aggro, is there anything you want to tell the people before you go? Thank you so much for the bits.
Well, my go-to is always, I'm just so proud of our community. Like the people that are part of our game and that participate and engage, they're like some of the coolest people you could possibly find. And I say that knowing their names, knowing their accounts, interacting with them for multiple years, and I'm just grateful to the fans and the gamers and the players and the hodlers and the even our quirky little shit talkers. Like, we have a really passionate fan base, and the game involves a bunch of money, and it's no surprise when feelings get heated and people are passionate, and that's just part of what we built. And but there are new people in this audience, and there are communities out there where I would just like cringe even trying to imagine, hey, why don't you come join our community? Because in a lot of those places they'll just get eaten alive, and crypto can be sort of like a harsh master, so like it can be pretty brutal around here. But it's not the case with Splinterlands. This is one of the most genuine, good groups of humans that I could ask to assemble.
That's super cool, man.
So it's just nice. It's nice to be able to say, hey guys, come visit here. It's not going to suck. You're actually going to be pretty welcome. And if you're looking for a fun thing to do in crypto, then here's a great project. And if you have friends that are like brand new to crypto, but watching Bitcoin freaking rip through its all-time high, and now we're getting interested, this is a really gentle introduction that doesn't need 30 hours of red pilling to just get somebody in. It's like, all right, just shut up and play the game and have some fun.
Exactly.
Along the way, what happens is along the way they end up with they start with a $10 starter pack, and they buy a couple packs, and they earn some rewards, and they play a couple matches, and they pick up a couple cards, and then 2 months later they're like, holy crap, how is my account $300?
Yep. And
they don't care because the account is worth $300. It doesn't mean that they spent and wasted it. It just means that their account is now worth $300. And so that's when they start. It's when they get up to a couple hundred that people start freaking out a little bit, and they're like, well, who has my keys? Who else has access? How do I protect this?
Yes.
And you can just see these guys that were total crypto noobs getting a little skin in the game and converting from, hey, this game is neat, to, hardcore, I got to protect my assets right now.
Right. Oh, that's, these communities and everything, and how people start to grow around it. I mean, I feel like the community sometimes show you some things you don't even see. And I mean, that's kind of one of the stronger points of it. I think having one of the communities like you guys have around is that you have the opportunity to look at things from so many different points of views. And whether they be good, whether they be bad, sometimes they always provide some type of data. And when you've got a community like yours, and I mean even ours, that just they're plugged in, they're in tune. They want to make sure that not only that it's thriving, they genuinely care. And it's good to hear that you guys definitely take that into consideration, and that's kind of what it's all about.
Yep. Care of your community, and
Mondo,
care of
cool.
the gamers, and trying to make this thing as big of a family as we can. That's a big chunk of my goal. Mm-hmm. Right? It's not my only goal. There's a whole business here and all this other stuff, but at the end of the day, this thing comes down to people.
Right.
And if we don't treat people well, this game doesn't last.
Exactly.
So, you can see it with stuff like, hey, let's go double tournament prizes.
Right.
We value the players, and I'm just grateful to them, and I think this is a fantastic community to come into, whether you're an old school crypto hound or you're what's Bitcoin. Either way, it's a great place to land.
Right. Well said, bud. Well said. Well, we won't keep you any longer. We know that you guys have already got to go be. Do appreciate you coming on and dropping the knowledge, sir.
Sounds perfect. Thanks for having me here. I appreciate it.
Aggro, it's always a pleasure. Have a good one, brother.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. Well, there you go, gang. That was Mr. Aggro Ed coming back in, giving everybody a little bit of an update. Looks like Little Owl sealing up that first spot to get that pack. That's 2 packs for her. We got Joe Sharp coming in second, earning his first one. And we've got Harlock coming up in third. Congratulations, gang. The next race is the final race of the checkpoint. My least favorite part, the end. You guys have been a blast today. Thank you for coming out and learning about PIVX and Splinter. I've just been calling it Splinter for a while now. Splinterlands, sorry. So Little Owl, you got your 2. And then we've got Joe Sharp. 1. And Harlock. Alright, guys. So, you have to go to Splinterlands, make yourself an account, send me your username. Come to our Discord, there's a link below. Message Tendo, which is moi, and I will make sure you get taken care of in the following days. This next race is the grand prize race. 500 Z&Z on the line, and a card pack will go to the first place winner. You ready? I'm ready. I don't know if you're ready, but I'm ready. PIVX is the best privacy coin. Very, very much true there. No idea what I'm doing, but I've set it up. It's okay, Little Owl. I'll get you learned it. DG plays too, so he knows. Tendo, I've set up Splinterlands account. Excellent. 10K PIVX and Masternode is super profitable. That is true. I think that PIVX is going to see a little bit of a spike this year. Let's hope that alt season is good to his older coins. Let's do it. All right. Final race, gang. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? This is the moment. These 3 hours always go so fast with you guys here. Now, if anybody has any questions about Zenzo towards the end of this show, I will gladly answer them. If they want to learn more about us, we've got a bunch of stuff coming out in 2021. Hopefully you guys are already signed up for the Coda pre-release. Basically what happens is we are going to be choosing 50 people that have signed up to get access to the alpha. So, may the odds be forever in your favor when doing so. Sure hoping, man. Splinterlands definitely got a lot of cool stuff that came out since we just had him on the show. And it's cool seeing. I love how Aggro just approaches his community. That openness. He says, we're here to make money, but there is nothing wrong with making money and helping your community. You can have both. You don't have to be a dictator. You know what I mean? You can have both. It's all in how you do it. It's nice to see that element of human in there and it being done right. All right, Joe, we will. Can you tell me to change my name in Splinterlands? I can't help you with that one, sir. I wish I could. If there's anybody from the Splinterlands community, maybe they can help you out. Feel free to drop it here in the chat, gang. All right, you guys ready? I'm ready. Let's do it. 45 seconds to the final race of the checkpoint. Again, thank you all for coming out. It's been my pleasure to host it as always. Sorry that we wanted this show to be uber long. We were going to do a 6-hour show, have multiple guests on. But again, like I said earlier in the show, it just didn't come out that way. But you bet when the checkpoint comes up, there will be a show. You can believe that. Yes, Marbles is now on Monday, so come join me tomorrow around the same time. It'll be 12 p.m. CST right here for 2 hours of Marbles on stream for Zenzo. Hope to catch you all here, gang. And if you have not smashed that follow button, be sure to. Dad Gamer, you lost fair and square. There was a vote. It was majority rule, sir. I'm sorry. But we may do a little vote tomorrow to see which time's going to work for you guys. Uncle Tindy's around a little bit more these days, so maybe we can make out a little bit better time for you guys. No Marbles Tuesday. PIVX Pump 2021. I voted for Monday. I like how Owl's just kind of turning that knife a little bit. I didn't expect this from you, Owl. It's been my pleasure, though, guys. I'm blessed to be able to come on here and do this. I hope everybody is doing okay with all the madness that's going on in the world. Please, just be careful. I want to make sure you guys, if you don't want to race, at least come in on Marble Madness Mondays to check in. We got to do a head count. We got to make sure everybody's okay. Hey, Joey coming in with that, no, Joey, that's not it. Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, crap. I thought it was the website. Never mind. That is the actual registration card. I thought I was like, wait a minute. That's a Google Doc. Nope, that is the registration to sign up for Coda. So be... Now, Owl. No, you're good. You're good, Joey. I just saw the Google Doc. I was like, But yeah, no, it's all good. Click that link if you want to sign up for our pre-release for your chance to be one of the 50, and who knows, maybe there'll be some fancy ZFIs to go along with that title. Who knows? 2021 is going to be a banger for a lot of good crypto projects. Notice how I said good in front of it. And next year, we've got a whole new slew of guests to come onto the checkpoint. Level 13 will be coming out next, so be sure to keep your eyes peeled in December for those notifications that'll be coming out. Who knows what guests we will be having. If you would like to recommend a guest, feel free to come into our Discord and send me a PM. We'll take it from there. Got a few interesting guests that we have been talking to that are or potential guests. It is the same list, Ron. I think you're on there. Pretty sure you're on there. All right, Mad Ed's got a little bit of a lead right here, but will he keep it? I pretty much cursed him by saying his name. Not bad for once this month. Few interesting things to kind of keep in mind. Our Forge software is getting ready to come out. Our applications are getting ready to roll off the floor. It's been a long time coming, gang. And when people start seeing how they can interact with our blockchain and gaming, it's just a Zenzo difference. Just saying. There's room for everybody out there. Splinterlands, like how they're doing things, that's kind of what we're trying to embody as well. We love our communities, and we want to make sure that they're taken care of and feel like things are justified. And who knows? Maybe I can sweet talk aggro into putting Zenzo into Splinterlands. Do it. Go tell him. If you play something I can join, I'll with you more be it so meh. That's right. Tell him, little owl. Joe Sharp, he said if he won, I gotta give it to Owl. Harlock, you, sir, are the grand prize winner of a card deck, as well as 500 ZNZ. And I know I've got your ZNZ address, so make sure you've got me your Splinterlands username, and I'll make sure you get taken care of. Because it looks like you, sir, have 2. Congratulations on all the double packs out there. Mad Ed getting second, and Joe Sharp getting another one. Okie dokie. So that is it, gang. This checkpoint is a wrap. To all winners, be sure you message me in Discord so I can take care of you. Now, Joe Sharp, you said you wanted me to give Little Owl your stuff. You don't want no cards? You sure you don't want no cards? Second is a card pack, Mad. Yes, sir. You're level 12's winner, bruh. Congratulations on that, sir. Perfect checkpoint. Very nice. It's very nice. Okay, we'll go ahead and give that to Little Owl. We got 2 more packs going over to Little Owl. She's got a good set of cards here. So guys, that's it. If you guys want to receive your gifts, be sure to come to our Discord, or your prizes, for lack of better words, and message me, and we'll get you taken care of. As always, I've been your host, Tendo, and this is the Checkpoint Level 12 signing off. Love you all. Peace.